Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies. Almost good?
Huh?
TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Man, I feel like you're good?
Yeah, I'm a little bit tired.
Yeah, what happened? I mean, is this something for air off?
No, I'm about 3:30 this morning. My dog started barking, woke me up. So I went, looked around and looked outside and noticed that there was a guy on my yard, in my lawn, and we have a religious sign out front because of the Easter. And he was like trying to get it out of our yard.
Beat down time.
So I go out and I ask him what and we end up getting to an argument. And a neighbor next door calls the cops because and then they came out and what a way.
They didn't call the cops on you, on him.
No,
okay.
What a way to start April.
Did this really happen?
April Fool's.
Oh man,
to come up with something, right?
It's like,
of course not.
How hard is it to take a sign out? Like, why would that? In my mind, I'm like, hold on. Like, are they arguing about how they're going to take the sign out? Like,
no, I was just thought of that right off the top of my head.
I
didn't put a lot.
You haven't had your bang or whatever you drink.
Yeah, several years ago.
Okay.
When Gabe Bach was sitting in your chair, we started the show talking about a column that I was going to have later, which I did, saying that. At that point, I think it was 2014, maybe 15, we were saying that, at least we were arguing, debating, and my position was that A&M should leave the SEC because they're not going to be competitive, and ask to rejoin the Big 12, and then even move on from Coach Sumlin, and I was suggesting even Mac Brown,
right.
Or even Dennis Franchione, because at least he won all the. I had so many people angry, and we were really selling it. People angry, calling up, asking, if I was crazy, it was a big April Fool's joke. That went off pretty well. I'm sure Gabe's listening. He'll remember that.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with it.
I actually didn't remember it was April Fool's. Who started April Fool's?
Some fool in April.
Yeah. Anywho, let's do April Fool's football talk.
Okay.
Teams that haven't made the playoffs. Okay, teams that didn't make the playoffs last year that could make the playoffs. And maybe it's A&M on your list. Maybe it's not. I was going to throw you a couple teams, but you want to throw one at me?
I don't think it's out of the question that A&M could get that. Now, I understand that A&M has a steep hill to climb, but my contention is that, and I've stayed on this, that A&M is going to average between 30 and 35 points a game. And I still think the schedule is favorable, even if you have to go on the road some. So if they can plug some holes on defense, I think it's not out of the question on A&M.
Okay,
but that's a big if on plugging those holes on defense.
So I'm gonna throw you some teams that didn't make it last year.
Okay,
that I think you can make an argument for that they will make it this year. I haven't looked at their schedules tightly.
Right.
I just kind of looked at some of the situations. Okay,
yeah.
Alabama.
Oh, Alabama's always it.
They get Ryan Grubb as their offensive coordinator.
Are they in if they don't blow one at Oklahoma last year?
Yep. They get Ryan Grubb. Ty Simpson probably fits the Kalen DeBoer system better. Ty Simpson fits the system better. There you go.
Yeah.
I think he probably fits it better.
Maybe they'll call him Ty System.
Ty System.
Ty System.
There we go. Opening up with Florida State. Florida State's
That's
an
a
interesting
win.
team. Not that they're going to make the playoffs, but they have to be significantly better.
Yeah, that's a win. Monroe's a win.
Wisconsin.
That's a win.
At Georgia? Nah.
Who knows?
Who knows
what
for Georgia?
gonna
You're
be.
right. Vandy.
But I'll say a loss since it's on the road.
Okay.
Vandy, I think they shot their shot last year, so that's a
At
win.
Missouri.
That's a win. I think Missouri's going to be a shell of itself. Tennessee, it's a rivalry game. At South Carolina, that could be a loss, even though South Carolina's defense isn't going to be what it was last year. LSU, it could be a loss. Oklahoma, they'll get revenge. Eastern Illinois, what are we talking about? Auburn's going to be better, but Alabama's still better. So
At worst, 9-3, 10-2.
Yeah.
So
Alabama's always a contender.
Nick will not have this team schedule on here, and I did this one more because of why not? Georgia Tech.
The Ramblin' Wreck.
Haynes King.
He's a hell of an engineer.
He's like 37. Okay, he's been there for a minute. Has he been there now longer than he was at A&M?
Well, this will be his third year, and he was at A&M. Well, probably he's been healthy more at Georgia Tech than he ever was at A&M.
Good running game, good offensive line. I looked at this. Only one ranked ACC opponent on their schedule. They get Clemson at home.
Yeah, that's a loss.
So,
yeah, maybe. I
mean, it's the ACC, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of built-in wins, but Georgia Tech always finds a way to lose a game or two.
They do. That was more because I like Haynes.
Yeah, I mean, he's an
not?
easy guy to like.
Fit him in.
Unless he's throwing an interception.
Here's one that people are like, of course, but remember what they did last year? Michigan. They won 3 straight games to end the year. They beat Ohio State. They got Bryce Underwood at quarterback.
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
They should have a stronger defense. Some reasons.
Yeah, I would never discount Michigan. In the Big Ten, they're still.
They went 8-5 last year. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know they had a bad year by their standards, but I would take 8-5 after a national championship.
8-5 after a national championship. In that last year, they played 6 top 12 teams.
And no quarterback. They had no quarterback. Like their quarterback situation was a disaster. And I know you don't want to rely too heavily on a freshman, but if this kid is anything like they say he is, they should be able to build an offense around him and be significantly better.
BYU could have made it this year. They came close. 11-win season.
I don't know what they have coming back and what they lost.
They got the quarterback coming back. They got a great linebacker crew. Strong offensive line.
Okay.
And they won 11 last year.
Yeah.
And it's the Big 12, brother.
But yeah, in Arizona State, I don't think it's going to be what they were last year. I doubt if Colorado is what they were last year. They're hoping Oklahoma State is what they were last year. Iowa State, BYU may be the
Utah's
favorite.
in that same mix. They didn't have a good year, but they're typically a very strong team.
Yeah.
BYU could be
Whittingham.
one. I'm going to give you another one.
Okay.
From Texas Tech. Okay?
Texas
Their
Tech.
quarterback last year, Morton, threw 27 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Apparently, they have the number 2 transfer portal class in the country behind LSU.
I think they got a pretty good coach over there.
Yep.
Am I supposed to root against Texas Tech?
Kind of depends on not yet, but when they start winning again, yes.
Okay.
They beat Arizona State last year.
Yeah.
And again, Big 12 is semi-open.
Okay. Yeah, I would probably today pick BYU, but I could see Texas Tech being a serious contender.
I could also say Oklahoma State, who had a bad year last year, but they're always under Mike Gundy good.
They
were awful last year.
Yeah.
Anybody else that maybe somebody from
Well, I'm so SEC centric.
Florida? No.
That's what they say.
I don't.
Florida lost 4 offensive starters through various reasons, so they should be okay offensively. 7 defensive starters are gone off that team. I was just looking it up before the show. Florida, it's the Missouri approach. You got to show me.
Same with Auburn?
Yeah, I wonder about Auburn. I wonder about Jackson Arnold, but they got to replace Jarquez Hunter, who's a good running back.
Yep.
But running backs are typically easier to replace than anything else. Got good receivers, And receivers, I think, make the difference. So I don't know what their offensive line and defense looks like. I think they lost some good guys on defense.
I read somewhere, this is not going to happen. Oklahoma being a team to watch out for.
Yeah, they brought in the quarterback from Washington State who put up some really incredible numbers.
They still have a brutal schedule.
Yeah, and plus, I don't want to be critical of the kid from Washington. He's from Lake Dallas. I'm not thinking of his name right now. Marty. Anyway, who's the quarterback they brought in that they're so excited about because their quarterback play was disappointing. But if you do it against Oregon State and Idaho and some of the teams, I don't know if they played Idaho, but Fresno and some of those teams that you do it against, it doesn't mean that it's going to translate
to the SEC. You're right. You're exactly right about that. And again, to kind of go back to the top, Texas A&M. I am not predicting they're going to make the playoffs.
No, I wouldn't either.
But as we are with the other programs, show me. But there is a path. Anytime you have an SEC schedule, there's a path. But is LSU going to be what everybody says they're going to be?
Yeah, look, LSU's going to be good. They have a good quarterback, a little bit overhyped, but good. They lost a good receiver, but they added the guy from Oklahoma who's been hurt a lot, but supposedly really good. Is he as good as Lacey, though?
Right.
We don't know.
And Obi, I look at it like this.
Why are they better on defense?
It is about A&M, but it's actually about some of the opponents that get on the road. I have my questions about those road opponents. Notre Dame always is good. I get it. So they'll probably be good again. But they're replacing a starting quarterback, a very good starting quarterback.
Very good one.
And some holes on the defensive line. So are they going to be this juggernaut? Yeah. Now, A&M has to go and be able to prove that you can beat mid-level teams, much less top-level teams on the road. But I have questions about Notre Dame. Just questions right now. I have questions about LSU. And I'm sorry, Texas folks, I have questions about what you're replacing. Doesn't mean that they won't. I mean, obviously, they're going to be a top 5 team entering the season. They might be top 3. But I have questions about those road games. And I have less questions about A&M because of the returning production. I have more questions if they can get it done.
Yeah. I'm going to wonder about Texas's offensive line. Huge losses there. Their receivers, big losses there. Now, they had some big losses the year before. And
they replenished.
So maybe they'll do it again. But can you do it twice in a row? And some questions about the defensive line and secondary with losses.
And by the way, questions doesn't mean they won't be answered, right? But as sitting here today, we can have a lot of questions about A&M right here. But as I look at that schedule, and if I want to take a leap of faith, my leap of faith could be based on, the teams that they're going to go play on the road, I have significant questions about. Arkansas, I don't really have questions about them, but going to Arkansas is very difficult.
Yeah, it is.
Especially when you haven't done it in 12 years or whatever it's been.
Their quarterback, he's okay. He's solid quarterback. You're going to have to play well. You can't let him. He could do to you what Lenore Sellers did if you're not careful.
Yep.
I don't know about their receivers at Arkansas. Armstrong is no longer there.
Yep.
That was their best one. I don't know. Their tight end that was always
Luke
dangerous.
Haas, he left.
He's at Ole Miss now.
Yeah.
I don't know about their offense. Landon Jackson's no longer on the defense. That was far and away their best defensive player. So, but everybody always finds some guys in the portal.
Sure.
Nothing's going to be easy.
No. But again, if we want to make the case for A&M, which I am not making the case for them yet.
Right.
I'm just saying, these are the things I would look at as reasons for optimism or potential optimism on your schedule.
I would look at the teams that you played last year and ask, is A&M as good as they were last year? Who knows? Are the teams that you played last year
better,
as good as they were last year?
I would say Missouri. South Carolina took a step back.
Definitely on defense.
Right. I would say that Missouri took a step back from the star talent.
Definitely on offense.
Now you're going on the road, but okay. Texas, I think they'll be as talented. As good, we'll see. Okay. As talented.
Arkansas,
you take out the neutral site game, going on the road, it makes it a little bit more difficult. I don't know if they're better. Maybe year 2 of Bobby Petrino's better.
Maybe. You said Notre Dame, Auburn.
Auburn should be better.
Yeah, I think they will be. But I'm not sure why I think, other than the receivers, why I think they should be.
Florida? I think they'll be better. That doesn't mean the record will be better.
I keep hearing that they're going to be better, and I get it with DJ Lagway. I get it. He's a really good player. They still have Eugene Wilson around at receiver. Lost their starting running back Johnson, but they can replace that. I wonder about the defense. I really do.
Yeah. So then if they're doing the same show in their market, they're asking, well, is A&M going to be better?
They're going to say,
Le'Veon Moss is coming back from a knee injury. Is he going to be as good? We didn't see much of Reuben Owens last year. It's been a while. So Amari Daniels is really good. Offensive line. They were pretty good offensive line last year. That'll be as good or better. Wide receiver. Well, they've picked up some guys that should make them better, but they lost Noah Thomas, who nationally I think that's who they recognize on A&M's wide receiver core. Defensively, they have questions about the defense.
That's where it's going to be.
Yeah. And while I can feel better about the defense today because of some of the changes that they've made, some of the guys they've brought in, I'm hesitant.
Yeah, I can't feel better about the defense until I actually see it with my own eyes.
Yep.
You know, if Shamar Stewart's a high number one draft choice, and Nick Scorton is a
day two,
no worse than a second round guy, and Shamar Turner is a third round guy, and you're going to tell me you're going to be as good on defense, because when those guys stopped producing, the defense started getting worn out.
Yep. But hopefully, maybe they're not as good defensive line, but they're good.
Other places.
And secondary, they're significantly better.
Well, hopefully they will be.
Yeah.
My question would then be, why are they going to be significantly better? And you can say, yeah, Tariq Chappelle will be back from injury.
That helps.
We assume maybe the guys they brought in from Washington and Georgia, Humphrey, and I can't even think that, I'm still in basketball mind a little bit. The kid from Washington, I can't think of his name right now at corner, but
Jordan Shaw.
Thank you. Maybe those guys, maybe moving some guys around. Brooks having played more at safety.
Brooks,
maybe he'll be better in his second year. So there's
Des
some
Ricks,
reasons.
hopefully with a little more experience.
He's got to show me a hell of a lot more than he showed me last year.
Yep.
Because if I'm going by what I saw from Des Ricks last year, I'm sorry, he wasn't very good. He had a nice interception against Arkansas.
I think Will Lee showed us a lot last year.
Will Lee, I'm fine with. That corner spot's fine. So, you can say they're going to be better. So, okay, here's some reasons why they could be better. They're legitimate reasons why they could be better, but I got to actually see it. I really wanted to see from the secondary the way we discussed the offensive line this time last year. Here are some legitimate reasons why they could be better, and they were.
And they were. By the way, this is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Currently, we're in the Holistic Planning Cool Zone. This area is just kind of carved off for us to have our morning-side chat here. Obi, what do they do at Holistic Planning?
Oh, they do cool stuff at Holistic Planning because money is cool and making it and keeping it and all those things. So they're going to help you with your investments. They're going to help you with your taxes. It's April, and I'm not fooling. It's April. That means it's about 2 weeks before, the IRS comes calling for you. Get some help with your taxes, and they're going to help you plan your estate.
Yep.
And part of planning the estate is keeping your money from taxes and also those investments in pro sports even.
Yeah, you can invest in prosports.com. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, call us up 979-693-1150. We'll pick it up on the Bubby's Catering hotline, or you can text that number as well, 979-693-1150. We go around the room, left to right, through the glass. Nick Savage. Nick, good morning.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
Well, the only teams I would add to that list of potential new playoff berth teams is, this one might be a little out of left field, but Utah. I feel like they're always in it for the most part. Last year they fell off. They went 5-7, but Cameron Rising's back for his, we joke about Haynes
again?
King, but yeah, Cam Rising's back again. And another team I might throw in there, and forgive me if y'all mentioned them briefly, but Ole Miss, I feel like might have a chance at
Ole Miss is one that
in.
we probably should have mentioned, yeah.
Trey Harris is no longer there.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm going to give Lane the benefit.
Lane always seems to come up with some guys somehow.
10-win Lane.
10 wins sounds pretty good to me.
God, 10 wins. When was the last time, bro?
For 10 wins?
or more.
For that, well, 2020 was kind of the equivalent, right? But I guess you'd have to go back to 2012.
Yeah. Been a minute. Thank you, Nick. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Reed Hopkins. Reed, hello, sir.
How's it going, guys?
How are you?
Not bad. So earlier this season, Jai Covington captured the national lead in the 60-meter hurdles. This Saturday, she actually captured the lead in the 100-meter hurdles, finishing the line in 12.86 seconds. She not only moved up to number 5 in A&M history, but she is now number 1 in the NCAA and number 2 in this world event this year.
When we have Coach Henry on, that's going to be a major talking point. Jai is having a heck of a year.
I don't think I could go 60 yards or 60 meters over hurdles anymore.
Unless there was somebody on your lawn taking, your Easter.
Yeah, I don't
memorabilia.
know. Had there been hurdles, I don't know if I'd been able to get out there.
Reed, let's try to get one more in before we hit a break.
So following Jaya, Jaquan Scott ensured the maroon and white sweep of the 110-meter hurdles, finishing in 13.2 seconds.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Reed. Appreciate you. OB, we're actually going to do something we don't normally do.
What?
Josh Pate's going to join us during the go hour. He's going to be at 8:35. He had to change his schedule a little bit, so we're going to chit-chat with him.
All right.
But let's have a meeting of the minds. Josh Pate, Olin Buchanan, David Nuño. Where do we go eat?
I think we should go to 1775.
Yeah,
In fact, I could clear all the hurdles all the way down to 1775 because it'd be worth. Because I knew I'd have that. I wouldn't have that carrot. I'd have that brisket.
The succulent brisket.
The succulent brisket. That soft, succulent brisket that just sits back and says, "Taste me, eat me. You're gonna love me." Then I'd have that.
Can we cut that and use that on social media? Go ahead.
You're gonna love me. That's what the brisket says. And then the jalapeno cheese sausage. And
what does that say?
It says, "Taste me, eat me. You're gonna love me." And then the pork ribs. Gotta love them. And that queso mac and cheese.
I just want to be.
I need to get out there. I need to get out there soon.
979-492-6241, 1775, txbbq.com. Go check them.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggie Dance Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Lucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggie Dance Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggie Dance Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggieLandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Lucci sent you by.
Do you know who this is?
No. This is Aerosmith and the Fat Boys.
Not the Fat Boys.
Run DMC.
Run DMC.
Fat Boys, Run DMC. I don't know. They're all aren't the Run DMC guys kind of fat?
I would say not like the Fat Boys. The Fat Boys were fat.
Yeah.
PHAT.
They did the Wipeout, right?
They did. They did.
I actually saw that on
Chubby
MTV.
Checker and the Fat Boys. They did a song.
And did they do something where, I don't know.
No, they did the
but
twist.
yeah, Run DMC and Aerosmith, yeah. I just like the Aerosmith version.
Are you a big Steve Tyler or Steve Tyler?
Well, yeah, I was. They were big when I was like a sophomore. That's how stupid I was. I had a friend who had an extra ticket for Aerosmith at the Tarrant County Convention Center.
Yep.
I went to a Rangers baseball game instead.
Huh.
Like, you knew they were going to lose. They were the Rangers.
Right.
But I liked sports so much. I hadn't broadened my horizons yet. I should have gone to the concert.
Hey, did you know this is TexAgs Live?
Yeah.
We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Knew that.
We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio.
Yeah.
And it's the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations.
All those things.
And that Emily Kennedy is my first nominee for Performance of the Week.
What'd she do?
Well, she earned her 60th win and 15th shutout of her career. Struck out at least one batter in every inning on Sunday, including 3 in the first and 2 in the third. I could do her every week.
Yeah. There's a girl, KK.
KK DeMet.
She had a big game.
She did.
And then there's another girl who had like 7 RBIs.
Can I give you one right here?
Yeah.
Maya Perez.
Maya Perez.
She has her team-leading 5th 3-hit game of the season. Okay, hold on. But there's more. 14th multi-RBI game. She hit 2 home runs in the same game for the first time in her career. Now she has 10.
Chihuahua.
I like that word. That's a good word.
Well, I'm kind of partial to the Hispanics, as you know.
Yeah. So you link us all in one group. You just paint us with one brush.
No. But I'm just...
She finished the weekend 6 of 8, 2 home runs, 4 RBIs, 4 runs, and 2 walks.
Paint you with one brush?
Well, it's like I said, like all white people, Russian white people, American white people, paint with the same brush. No, we're different.
I'll admit that where I grew up in Dallas, until I was in like the 7th grade, if you met someone who spoke Spanish,
they were Mexican. Yeah, that's Texas.
He's a Mexican from where? Honduras. Oh, okay, like that. I think we've all evolved somewhat.
A little bit. Texas A&M men's tennis team. We're going to have Steve Denton in here later on today. They won again. They beat Kentucky 4-1. And Theo Papamalam. I'm trying.
What a name, man.
Papamamalis.
The Greek freak.
Papa. I'm sorry.
Big
Theo.
Papa.
I actually practiced it earlier. I just couldn't do it. I'm sorry. Too much pressure.
Papamopoulos.
Do you have one for us, Reed? You want to give us the women's tennis team, or who do you want to give us?
I can give you the women's tennis team. So we beat Tennessee 4-1 with that's our 4th straight win.
Number 7 Tennessee, by the way.
Number 7.
Let's see.
And you already gave one earlier.
Oh,
Jaya Covington.
Yeah.
Have we gotten to the point now where we just expect Mark Weaver's team to be great?
Yeah. Got to get him in studio.
Is there a better, I don't want to say better coach. Is there a more successful coach?
He's the national. Well, Pat Henry is pretty darn successful. But recently, he's got the most recent championship.
Right. Yeah.
And by the way, the young ones, bro, can I bro you?
Yeah, you can bro me.
The young ones.
The young ones.
Jamie Morrison. Guy's going to win. Okay? He's going to be in studio later today.
We've talked about how good the women's sports are.
Yeah. Trisha Ford. She'll be here tomorrow.
Outstanding.
She's fantastic. Garrett Chadwell. Fantastic. Okay?
Yeah.
I'll keep going.
Who's the equestrian coach?
God, I forgot her name. Tara McKeever.
Terry McKeever.
Tara, look up the last time. I should get it right.
Sorry, I didn't mean
Am
to
I
put
right?
you on the...
Tara McKay, who's been in studio. She's awesome, and they win a lot. I remember her first name. It's like a soccer player. You go first name.
McKay. But she hates me.
Oh, guys, there's so many little clips we're going to use of you, buddy.
I don't care.
Let's go to break early because Josh Pate.
Josh
Let's
Pate.
class up the show. All right. We'll do that coming up next. A moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. Great selection of commercial vehicles. When you're looking for a commercial vehicle, if you got a business, let them be the ones to take care of you. Business Elite Dealer, they're fantastic. They'll get you all the great stuff. But if you're looking for a truck, that's the place you go. They've got several medium-duty trucks for those heavier jobs. They've got a lot of great trucks when you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. SUVs, midsize, you name it, the pricing, the selection, the customer service, all fantastic. And don't forget about their complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers, and of course, free oil changes for life on the life of your purchase as long as you own that vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. We're talking 15 minutes, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. And we're back, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Time for our weekly conversation with Josh Pate, brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. They carry a wide selection of the best brands, including Easton, Rawlings, and Wilson. And at Academy, you can shop for the latest bats, gloves, cleats, clothing, protective gear, training equipment, and much, much more. We go to the Buppies Catering Hotline. We're joined by Josh. What's up, buddy?
I'm just hanging out, David. I'm just waiting anxiously to see what the day brings and what our conversation brings. Because as you know, I like to have my week sort of revolve around this conversation. This is the Earth, this is the sun, and then every other day is just kind of the planets around it.
You know what I love about our combos, Josh, is sometimes I have an idea where I want to go, and then our conversation takes us different ways. It could be wrestling, it could be football, it can be a lot of different things.
Yeah, we were doing a sit down. We were scheduling a sit down with an unnamed head coach in a major conference. Let's just leave it at that. And the SID wanted to know, do you have any idea what you're going to ask? I said, no. They said, do you have a loose idea of where you're going to go? I said, also no. I don't even carry a piece of paper with me into these things. We're just going to kind of go wherever. If you're uncomfortable with that, we don't have to do it. And they said, no, just checking. And then they moved on. I think that was almost like a shock to the senses that you could interact with a human being without notes. Apparently people don't do that anymore, but it can happen.
Well, I'm going to allow Olin Buchanan then, who I know doesn't have notes, to ask the first. Well, you've got notes, but not for Josh.
Well, I didn't know he was going to be on the show till about a half an hour ago. Hey, Josh, of course, we always respect your opinion. And we were talking about earlier about teams that A&M is going to be facing in football next year, and how good or how challenged those teams will be. And I just want to tell me, if from top of your head, why is LSU, Auburn, Missouri,
Notre Dame,
Florida going to be better?
Let's see. Auburn, because they can't get worse in one-score games and turnovers. This would be the general consensus, is what I'm telling you. Notre Dame, I don't know that there's a thought they would be better. They just played in the national championship game. Who else? LSU, as you guys both know, anytime you return a quarterback, the entire world just assumes you get 20% better. Now, I don't want to sound hypocritical because I am pretty high on LSU this year. So I think I may fall in line with general consensus there. But, Olin, it would not be for me simply because Garrett Nussmeier's back. I think they found themselves on the precipice of being in some pretty significant depth chart-related issues, and they got after it in the portal pretty good. And I don't mean like Florida State last cycle where they brought in guys that could be good. I think they went and got some proven guys that could be really good. So I would say that about LSU. Who else did you throw at me there?
I said Missouri and Florida.
Missouri, they got the tailback out of ULM, I believe, to pair with the quarterback out of, I think it was Maryland or wherever. They're hoping, they're banking on transfer portal, and they're also banking on being Missouri, which, if you're unfamiliar with the SEC, means nobody pays attention to them this time of year. I mean, have you heard a single spring practice update from Columbia, Missouri? Of course you haven't. No one has. So they just kind of exist up there in isolation and then hope they've got a favorable schedule, which they do. And they all of a sudden are 6 weeks in and everyone's saying, ooh, you know who a sleeper is? Missouri. Missouri's a sleeper. But I don't know. There's so much variance, I guess, baked into the cake with every team you just listed. Maybe aside from LSU, who I'm pretty confident will be good, that I don't know. They could be 500 or 10-2.
Yeah, since you mentioned LSU, which you don't know this, I keep up with them a lot because my son goes there. He's a student there. Okay, I understand, they transfer portal receivers, everything, but what about that offensive line when you lose two guys at your tackles who are NFL players? Maybe one's a first-round draft choice, maybe both. And I can't think of the other kid's name. He's a guard that did real well at the Senior Bowl.
Yep, I'd be terrified about it. In fact, I'd say 9 times out of 10, just as a college team in general, if that's you, if you just described me as a college team, I'd be terrified by it. The one thing I would say about LSU, because I've actually kept an eye on that, is I feel, I would say, fairly confident to very confident on the 0 to 10 scale that they've backfilled those positions.
Okay.
And it's not something in spring where they're trying to mix and match. They know the guys. Now, at this point, if the guys flame out, the guys flame out. But in a weird way, something that would terrify me most of the time does not have me as scared as it usually would. So I feel okay about them there.
Pate, I would say, and I usually go Josh. Josh, I would say Nuss is a completely different quarterback with pressure, as most people are, but we saw it here at Kyle Field. So, and that's with that great offensive line. So I even if they feel good backfilling it, I still think when he's got pressure, the first half Nuss against A&M and the second half Nuss, completely different players.
Yeah, I agree. I think you could describe many like that, but I think with him it probably scales up a little bit more. So point taken there, which is why Olin just asked the question. I answered it confidently, but that's the thing. I'm looking at my phone right now. It says April 1st. You guys go through this every year just like I do, where you start to develop an opinion in your mind. All right, so for me, with LSU's offensive tackle situation, there will be nothing that happens between now and late August, aside from injury, that could change my mind on that because I won't see a game.
Okay.
So you'll go April, May, June, July. You'll go 5 months of saying something in your mind. Every time further down the rabbit hole you say it, you convince yourself more, even though there's been no more evidence.
Sure.
You didn't have anything else for 5 months, so you kept saying it. Then if they go to Clemson in week 1, and the first 2 series, Nuss is on his back 3 times. This is what's crazy about college football. 5 months of expectation just goes up in smoke and you feel so insecure about yourself. It's like what Florida State was as a team last year. That could happen with any aspect of a team.
Josh, I say that to you because we did this exact conversation a year ago about Notre Dame. And we were like, and then they lost one of their starting guys in training camp. I'm like, dude, our defensive line against that O-line, forget about it. And did A&M get 1 sack in that game?
They were credited with 1. It was generous.
Okay, so these conversations are just that. They're conversations. Until we get to September, we really don't know, right?
Yeah, and so that's what I had to tell Georgia folks last week. We were up in Athens, and they lost. I'm trying to think. It's a bunch of production off an offensive line that already was not great last year. So, they're mixing and matching. They hadn't been healthy on the offensive line this spring. And so I was doing a hit with one of their, I think it was in Atlanta, one of the radio stations there. And they were saying, how can we have any confidence? Yeah, we got Gunnar Stockton, new quarterback. How can we have any confidence that he'll be protected? And I said, well, you don't have certainty. But if you think just because you don't know the guys, or just because we say it's a weakness, that it is a weakness, that's incorrect. And I drew him right back to what you just did. I said last summer, every week, I remember talking about how, boy, that Notre Dame offensive line going into Kyle Field in week 1 against that front, that's the mismatch of week 1. That's where that game will tilt and fall on its ear in favor of A&M. And not only did the game play out the way it did, think about this, guys. Notre Dame had more injury on the offensive line during the season, and that O-line ends up being a strength. It ends up being something that gets them all the way to the national championship game, which just goes to show you there was a culture, there was like an identity about that position group that by the end of the season made me feel like I don't really care who they throw out there. I feel like they could throw David or Olin out there on the right side, and because they're throwing that Notre Dame jersey on, feels like a video game. They'll just magically play to a certain level, which is not the way it actually works, but that's the way it started to feel. It could also work in reverse, by the way.
I'm going to change course a little bit and talk about a different conference. I'm going to talk quarterback in the ACC. Now, Carson Beck. Look, when he had Ladd McConkey and Brock Bowers and a good offensive line, good running game, man, there people talking about him as a first-round draft choice. Is he that good, and what will he be like at Miami?
First off, I've got to know that he's healthy. He's not going through spring right now. So, they pointed out to me down there, well, neither did Cam Ward. Cam Ward didn't go through spring ball last year. Okay. So if you feel like you got another Cam Ward, I'm fine with you not going through spring. I would say Cam Ward is more an exception to the rule. Now, Carson Beck, he comes in, you got the shoulder surgery thing. He can stand alongside the offensive coordinator throughout spring ball. He can ingratiate himself with teammates. 2 things I wonder about. Number one, Commitment level. This is not me questioning it. This is me telling you I don't know, because I don't know Carson Beck. I've never spoken to him. The commitment level, the love for football, what it takes to pick up a system immediately. Because, guys, I don't know if you've looked at their schedule at Miami. It's very front-loaded. They play Notre Dame in week 1. So it's very front-loaded. So by week 4 or 5, they will have already played multiple losable games. So if he's not back, that's a whole nother can of worms. If he is back, if he is ready to go, I stopped short of saying it's doubt. I say it's a big question mark, only because I watched what you watched last year at Georgia. Certainly he was not in an ideal situation, but how erratic the play was week to week. I was at the Tennessee game, and he torched them. Could not have looked better. And then there were other times throughout the year, including against Texas, even in a win, where he had just egregious mistakes. And so at Georgia, you're in such a high-level operation that sometimes it can pick up the slack for you. Just collectively, it can pick up the slack for you. At Miami last year, they were totally quarterback-centric. If Cam Ward didn't get it done, they didn't get it done. So if they're relying on Carson Beck to be that, instead of elevating as a team around him, I've got big questions about that.
Josh, we got about a minute left. And it's probably not fair to even end it with this, but if you were to poke holes the way we did at LSU, what holes would you poke at A&M entering 2025?
Offensive consistency would be my number one question. And then also, what's the lasting image in our minds? Anyone's mind, not an A&M fan, anyone's mind, is Elko just constructively trashing the defensive effort at the end of last year. So I would say, actually, I would take that word. I would take the word consistency in performance, and I would say both sides of the ball. I don't doubt that the personnel is there. The minimum baseline of personnel is there to win 10-plus games. If the one possession games, the bounce stuff goes your way. But the consistency in performance, is it this right here or is it this right here? That, to me, is the difference in them in April.
I 100% agree, and I do think health, which is for every team, but Le'Veon Moss's health last year, I think, certainly derailed that offensive consistency, Josh.
Wish I had more time, because I really respect his opinion. Wish I had more time to talk college football with Josh Pate.
Well, that's why we get him weekly, thanks to Academy Sports.
But I'm not there.
You can come everyone. You want to stay?
I'll start coming.
All right, you stay next.
Because I want to know who what he thinks about the quarterback situation in the SEC overall.
Okay, so next Tuesday he's going to stick around for the 9 o'clock session. All right.
Fair enough.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate you, buddy.
See you guys.
See ya. Josh Pate here on TexAgs Live. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with the shortest of shorts here. But right now, the Association of Former Students, they'll be in studio. Sue's going to be coming. I think Scott's coming as well. We'll be chatting with them. But if you are looking for a reason to move back to Aggieland, or maybe are already in Aggieland and need a new opportunity, maybe you should look at the Association of Former Students. They are always looking to hire the top-notch professionals out there. And they typically have openings in sales, communications, fundraising, you name it. They have a lot more programs that they offer that you can maybe be a part of. They are the premier alumni association and the oldest group serving A&M in support of that Aggie network. They play a part in every Aggie story from Howdy to here. Don't miss opportunities to help out the association with Howdy Socials, Aggie Ring Day, class reunions, and everything in between. Join a team that exemplifies those Aggie core values of integrity, leadership, loyalty, respect, and selfless service, all in support of that worldwide Aggie network. If you're interested in joining a team or joining the team or sharing with someone that would be a great fit, please visit tx.ag/association jobs to apply and get more information on each position. It is the Association of Former Students. And we're back on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour coming to a close here, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. OB?
Yeah.
I'm not wearing my shirt today, but hopefully I get to do this a couple more times. A&M Consolidated Soccer.
Yeah.
Continuing on in the playoffs.
They win last night?
They won last Friday.
Oh, yeah.
And they won Tuesday and Friday. So now they're in the, what is it called? The
Regional
semifinal. Winner goes to the semifinals, I guess, whatever they call it. So the quarterfinals, which is the regional semifinal.
Okay.
Winner here goes to the Final Four. So
right.
Christian and Cruz, rooting for you. I've had a bunch of TexAgers reach out to me. Kean Deckers, Will Ferris, Jax, Adrian, Tyler, the whole gang. They've been playing awesome. So
who do they play next, you know?
Angleton.
Angleton.
Here's the
soccer powerhouse. That is the Angleton. What's Angleton?
Angleton. So Tyler Pounds sent me a text yesterday. He's an Angleton guy.
Yeah.
So, and Philip Vargas, his son Adrian. So Adrian's on the team. Philip went to Angleton. So he's got the house divided. And Tyler Pounds is divided as well. He's rooting for Angleton, but his loyalty should be at Consol.
I get it if that's your school, you know.
Yeah, I know.
But Angleton.
It's a great community.
You know what? I've never been to Angleton.
You know what's a great community?
What?
The Brazos Valley.
Yeah.
See how I localized it just like that?
That's why the former student association should be able to get people in here.
Hey, do me a favor. Go and watch football practice.
I'm going to.
Report back to me, okay?
Right now.
Yeah. We'll have that. We have Luke Evangelist.
Why?
That's next. It's TexAgs. And we're back, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Luke Evangelist in studio. We're starting a segment we've done before.
Yeah.
Aggies and the pros, right? What's going on?
Is my pack's on, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I just couldn't hear myself.
Yeah. Well, you got to turn up your volume. So we're gonna be going through, see what several guys did in the USFL, big leagues, and
UFL.
Sorry, that's right. They changed it.
Yeah,
to the UFL.
they did change
the
it.
arena. No, sorry. Hold on. The XFL and the USFL got married.
Merged. Yes.
And their baby.
Wait, David, one second before y'all get started. Sorry, there's a breaking news on Twitter. The Houston Texans just traded C.J. Stroud and a first-round pick to the Browns for Deshaun Watson.
Wow, David, that's your team.
He interrupted the show.
I had you for a second.
No.
Your face was like
when you
really
said C.J.
worried.
Stroud, I was like, April 1st. That's so dumb.
It was Luke's idea, by the way, of course.
It's interesting. I had my management meeting yesterday. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you were involved in this dumb joke. I had my management meeting, and we're talking about like our personnel and growth for people. And I was actually recommending raises for both of you. But sorry, that's gonna.
I think it would be pretty crazy for an employee to get a raise after just not even a month.
No, I meant
full
lifts
time.
in your shoe, Luke.
Oh, I don't think I need it actually, but
You're 5'10".
thank you. 5'11".
That means 5'9". That's how it works. Subtract 2. That's what people say to me. I'm 5'10". No, you're not. You're 5'4". No, I'm not 5'4". Anyway, what are you on your phone for?
I'm just keyword searching for anything to come up.
Relax. Relax. It's April 1st. You never know.
Yeah,
Don't
you never
go
know
for the
what's about
first
to
thing.
happen.
Anyway, so we're going to bring back this segment, but I did want to ask you before we get into it. I know there's smoke around the Aggie basketball program, right? We won't necessarily get into that this segment.
Right.
But what can you tell us about the portal? They've been having guys in town all weekend, right?
I mean, I'm just trying to count the names now. There's about 24 guys that they've been in contact with. They've had 3 confirmed visitors and some Zoom calls. They've made contact with players, but they've had players in town and have been running official visits, doing photo shoots, the whole shebang, like how a normal recruiting weekend would go. But obviously it is a lot of uncertainty outside of the program, but the assistant coaches are recruiting and they're reaching out to players. They had Corey Chest in from LSU for a visit. He's also visiting Alabama right now. So a lot of the players they're in contact with are also in contact with other SEC schools, some that may still be playing in the Final Four.
Yep.
So there is a lot of emphasis on trying to get a head start in recruiting, but that might be tough when there's other things possibly at play. So all I know right now is that the staff...
kids really care about that?
I don't know if the kids care, but it could be a negative recruiting pitch if there's just uncertainty.
Are people that like, I don't know, maybe because I'm a grown man. Like to me, I think of course they're going to say that about the other program.
Right.
Like no matter what, they're going to tell me something negative. Right? Like if you go to a car dealership, they're going to tell you something bad about the other car dealership.
Yeah.
Unless it's Caldwell Country Chevrolet, of course. But I feel like the things that upset kids and get them going are not the same thing that get fans upset and going.
Right. Kids these days want, when they say Aggie Nation, who's going to show me love on social media, like what fan base is going to be in my comments the most or get me the most followers. I know that's not everything, but there are kids who care about that.
And they care about the NIL
Yes, they care
strategy.
about the paycheck.
They care about
How much
the path to play.
Yes, the path to play, the path to how can I get to the league as fast as possible? Where can I get the most exposure and play in the highest profile games?
And what about tweener players? Okay, because I think that's what Buzz is a master at getting, and that's not a disrespect to any of those players. I find myself a tweener host. Okay, so the guys who get the most out of their ability.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those guys that are not being Anderson Garcias of the world. I always go back to him, but players like that are not being. There's the Henry Comers of the world that didn't play at Duke, played a little bit at Duke, and you know the talent, and like you can get those guys to get more playing time. And then there's players that I think like are, if not buried on the bench, just aren't. The system doesn't fit their skill set completely, and those guys looking for a gig. I don't know if I think those guys are looking at the opportunity and the culture of the program.
Yeah, and there's certainly great examples to sell, like you mentioned with Henry Coleman and Anderson Garcia would say, hey, you had a limited role at your first school, here's what we've done, and here's what guys with 2, 3, and 4 years in the program have looked like after they came to A&M. And just looking at the guys that they're recruiting, like there are people that were players of the year in mid-major conferences, and then there's guys who redshirted at an SEC school and didn't play much. And then there's guys in between who were averaging maybe double-digit points at a JUCO or at a lower Division I school. But I think this staff has the ability to identify talent at any level, and ultimately that makes them more dangerous in the portal than a typical staff would be.
Yeah. Let's more dangerous than...
Well, more like, what other schools getting Anderson Garcia, SEC's leading rebounder, out of a guy that averaged 2 points per game at Mississippi State? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they can...
Okay, they maximize the tweener's ability.
That's what I mean, dangerous as in like they can find talent where other schools are overlooking it. Like nobody was really like competing heavily for a Pharrell Payne. He was obviously averaging 10 and 6 at a Big Ten school, but
that's great, by the way.
He came to A&M for the culture. He didn't go to an Alabama or an Auburn to sit on the bench.
What did Pharrell end up finishing at A&M stats-wise? Because we know it's close to that number, but his impact was way bigger than that.
I mean, he was second in scoring in the entire NCAA tournament for the first 2 rounds with 51 points, but he finished the year averaging 10 and 5.
10 and 5. So very similar.
10 and a half and 5.
But we both know that his numbers were deeper than that. Hey, he didn't start all the games.
He also played significantly tougher competition than he did in the Big Ten, which the Big Ten is a physical league, but
nobody's in the Final Four.
Yes, that too. Look at the 7-footers that he had to play against night in and night out.
All right, let's get some Aggies in the NFL update, shall we?
Yeah, of course. I was going to start with some breaking news, but I can't think of any even fake trade.
The C.J. Stroud fake news that you
out of the NBA.
Did you guys actually think I was going to go for that?
Well, apparently OB got you earlier. I didn't hear what it was.
Oh, yeah. Hey, why you look so sleepy, man? Yeah, somebody was on my lawn. Like, that sounds like a story I'd get down with. Like, did you shoot him? Did you like, that was the first thing I was thinking. I was hoping, like, for that part of the story. I'm not.
Yeah, actually, breaking news out of the NBA, Luka Doncic traded back to the Mavs.
Trade deadline ended in February.
The Mavs lawyers figured something out, and there was a loophole in the trade. This is all official. You can go on Twitter and look at this.
Yeah.
And yeah, Luka is coming back to the Mavs, and they also traded Jalen Green and every Houston Rockets player with a pulse to the Lakers in exchange.
The second best team in the Western Conference, that Houston Rockets team?
Well, I was about to mention they're actually 14 and a half games behind the Thunder, which is Alex Caruso's team. So.
Love Alex Caruso.
Yeah.
Can we actually get to why you're here?
Yes, we will.
It's 8 minutes in. We haven't done jack.
Yeah, sorry. We're stalling and trying.
We got the association coming.
So yes, we do. Okay, let's start with the MLB. Okay, baseball is not my sport. We can all admit that. But I do love opening day. And then I'll start watching again when it gets closer to the playoffs. But I do enjoy opening day. And some Aggies were I'm getting a call from my financial advisor. I thought that said Billy Lucci for a second.
You're not Agent Wojnarowski. You're not Ian Rappaport.
I'm sorry, I saw a B.
You don't need to be looking at your phone. You're not Billy Lucci during the segment.
Billy did call me a couple times yesterday, so
he's the only one you glanced at.
I'm sorry, I saw a B. Let me get back to it.
You saw a what?
A B.
Go ahead.
Okay. How about the Seattle Mariners and Bryce Miller? He played against the Oakland A's. He did end up getting a loss, but he went 5 2/3 inning. Had 6 hits, 3 errors, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Michael Wacha in the Kansas City Royals lost to the Cleveland Guardians, and he went 4 innings. Had 4 hits, 1 error, 4 walks, and 2 strikeouts. And A.J. Minter was really the only one with a positive outing. He only had 1 inning of work, but no hits, no earned runs, only 1 walk and 1 strikeout against your Houston Astros.
That's okay. I root for Aggies first.
Absolutely. Let's get to the NBA, which is easily the most exciting league for Aggies and the pros. Caruso and the Thunder.
Do you know our audience?
Yes, I do. And that's why I'm going to start pushing Aggies in the NBA propaganda, because I love basketball.
I hear this. People changing the station. Go ahead.
No, I think people are actually turning it up. I hear people.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
They're turning
John
it
of Cyprus text in 3, 2, 1. Go.
Yeah, what's that? Let's read that text message. Nobody cares about the NBA.
LeBron worse than Michael Jordan.
Well, that part's true.
Yeah, okay.
Let's get to it.
Yeah, the Thunder, if you haven't been paying any attention in the NBA, Caruso was clearly the missing piece for the Thunder. They're 14.5 games up on the Rockets. They're 63-12. Caruso's averaging 6.9 points per game, almost 3 rebounds per game, and over 1.5 steals per game. But the main star of the Aggies and the pros that we have to hit on is Quentin Jackson being a part of NBA history last week. The Pacers are 4th in the Eastern Conference. Q's on that 2-way contract. So he gets to be the leading scorer for their G League affiliate. And then also he's played in 24 NBA games. But the big one was last week, and they were playing the Wizards. The score was a lot to a little, kind of what would happen if you and I played basketball.
Right.
The Wizards were up 159-109, trying to break their record.
159-109?
Yes, trying to break their record for most points scored in a game, in an NBA game by their franchise. And guess who had the record-breaking bucket?
Yeah, well, if you're asking me, and it's April Fool's, you're going to tell the truth because it was Quentin Jackson.
Yes, it was Quentin Jackson. So forever, if you ever need a trivia question and you're in the Indianapolis area at a bar and they say, who scored the final bucket to give the Pacers their most points in an NBA game, the answer would be Quentin Jackson.
Or as we like to say, Q.
Q. Yeah, we like to keep it simple, and Buzz likes to keep it simple with the nicknames. Just Q.
Q.
DeAndre Jordan, similar to you as a radio host.
Been in the NBA forever.
Still kicking it in year 17. He's on the Nuggets. They're in 3rd place. He's going for 3.7 points per game and 5 rebounds per game. So a limited role, but a much-needed veteran presence on that team. Sorry, my phone's just, I need to.
Yeah, you should put it down.
And then we have to mention the 2 Aggies who probably this is the end of their seasons with Chris Middleton and Robert Williams. One, the Wizards and the Trailblazers are horrible. And these are 2 guys who were on teams that were making deep runs in the NBA playoffs. But unfortunately, this is probably going to be the end for them with both teams just in the cellars of both their conferences. Middleton's got a little bit of a knee issue, so he's day-to-day, and they're looking at shutting him down. But when he was playing, he was going for 12 points and 4 rebounds and 4 assists per game. And then Time Lord is out 4 to 6 weeks with a knee injury. So his 24-25 season is done. And then on to the UFL. You had Kellen Mond on last week.
A lot of people picked a lot of the bites from that one. I saw that around. There was I think the one he talked about Marcel, and he had heard that he could be the starter even last year. People picked up on that.
Yeah, I mean, he unfortunately, it wasn't really the best week for the Aggies in the UFL with 3 of the most prominent teams losing. You've got Leon O'Neal and Avery Genesee on the Houston Roughnecks. They lost. Jay Sternberger and Keaton Sutherland are on the Birmingham Stallions. They lost. And remember, they were the back-to-back UFL champs. Okay. And Jace set the receiving record for touchdowns just a couple years ago for that league. So they're looking to make a comeback. And then Kellen Mond was named the starter for the San Antonio Brahmas. They also lost, but Mond went for 159 yards passing, no touchdowns, no interceptions. But the big star was Anthony Hines for the DC Defenders.
Tell me more.
They won. He was 2nd on the team in total tackles with 6. And then he had 2 sacks and 2 tackles for loss to lead his team.
Unfortunately, I forgot the UFL was on until I saw it on. I was like changing channels, like, let me see what's going on. And the Brahmas were losing at that point. But I think that was on Sunday. And I was like, okay. Do you watch the UFL?
Yeah,
you do.
I'll watch. I like watching Jace's team.
Yeah. Luke, I don't know if that was a good segment or not, but it was a segment.
Let me check my phone. Maybe something funny will come up that we can end the segment with. Consistency is key. Josh Pate explains where the Aggies can improve in 2025. What a great tweet from TexAgs Live.
God, I love the people who work behind the scenes. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate you, buddy. All right.
Thanks.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, we are going to talk a little association of former students. They got a couple events coming up. We'll chit-chat with Sue and with Scott, and we'll get to your text messages at 979-693-1150. Before I do go to a live spot, do we have any text messages or anything you want to read from the YouTube page? Read, hop.
So Madden in Houston says D-line will make or break the defense, and by the looks of it at the moment, it's going to break them.
Say that again. D-line is going to make or break. And looking at them at the moment, it's going to break them.
Yes, yeah.
Who said that?
Madden in Houston.
We're 2 practices in the spring, 5 practices in the spring brawl. How can we say that?
Look, if we're going to give the benefit of the doubt to other programs that recruit at a high level at certain positions, I think A&M has done a really nice job throughout the years of replenishing a defensive line. Okay? So I do believe that maybe it won't be as strong as what we considered last year, but I don't know if it's going to be a weakness either. I'm not ready to go there yet. I understand the questions. I do 100% understand the questions, but I'm not ready to call it, a weakness for next year because I believe in the head coach, in his defensive mentality. So let's say it's still a question mark for sure, but did he call it a weakness? Is that the word he used?
Maybe not.
He said it's going to break.
It's going to break.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not ready to go there at all. Right now we're talking Bird Dog. They're an Aggie-owned and operated company creating access to hunting opportunities. I want you to think of them as an Airbnb for your hunting experiences. If you like to go hunting, reach out to Bird Dog. They can set it all up for you. If you have thought about hunting and you just don't know how to really get started, you don't know, did I just go to the woods and start shooting things? Let them kind of set it up for you. All the logistics, your lodging, your personal chef, concerts you can add to it at night, shooting out of a helicopter, like at animals. It's the way to do it. Let Bird Dog take care of you. Jonathan Lusk and his team are fantastic when it sets up the logistics for the hunters, but for the community that own the landowners, right? That community. I go to those meetings too. When you go to those meetings, you'll find out that landowners are also trying to find some extra dollars for their land. And it's not just by getting hunters on your land. There's tax benefits that you probably haven't thought of that Bird Dog can help optimize those benefits and get you some money. Some of their clients are making an extra $100 to $500 per acre of land. So I want you to remember Bird Dog for all of your full-service hunting experiences. And for you landowners, let them help you make money on your ranch. It is Bird Dog, the website, birddogit.com. That is birddogit.com. Please do me a favor and check them out. Around the association here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studios. Got Scott Walker, class of 90, the vice president, and Sue Owens, manager of communications, class of 1994. Hello, friends.
Howdy.
So during the break, I'm not going to tell everybody what we were talking about, but we might have talked about Aggie sports a little bit, maybe.
A little bit.
But we also talked about how busy you guys have been.
Yeah.
And the first thing you said to me, it's April. It's April. This is busy time.
Yeah, it is one thing after another in April. It's all good stuff, but it's a lot. We start with Ring Day coming up this week, and then we've got Aggie Muster this month, and it's April. And then we roll right into commencements, and so it's
nonstop.
It's nonstop from here to the summer.
Well, let's start with Aggie Ring Day then. 25th anniversary of Aggie Ring Day.
Indeed.
So can you take me back to the origins?
Yeah. So most people today think that Ring Day has been around as long as the ring, but of course it hasn't. You know. Yep. I got my ring. They called and left me a not a voicemail. They left a message on my answer machine.
It started in 2000, right?
Yeah, first one was in 2000. Porter Garner, our CEO, he became CEO, and he said the ceremony around the ring should be commensurate with the achievement of getting a ring. And so it's evolved a lot over 25 years, but we got a big one coming up this week. April is our biggest of the 3 big ring days. We'll distribute about 6,500 rings here in College Station. More around the state at other locations. We expect about 60,000 people to come through our building.
Yay, more traffic.
Yeah, right. But it's 60,000 really happy people.
Yes, this is true.
They're not mad about sports. They're excited because somebody they love is getting an Aggie ring.
That's
and
right.
It's a big deal.
I see them, a lot of times they park on this side, and I just see all the families smiling, taking pictures as they go. It is a huge deal, as it should be a huge deal.
It is a huge deal, and it's worthy of all the commotion. Now, we are watching the weather. There is some chance of rain in the forecast. This far out, it's hard to say what's going to happen, but just so people can plan appropriately, from our perspective, rain is a comfort issue. It's not a safety issue. So if it's raining, we won't stop. We'll keep going. But people are going to be outside most of the time, and so they need to come prepared with, think about your shoes, think about an umbrella or a raincoat or whatever.
And also think about the heat too, right?
It's Texas.
Yeah.
It could be 95 on Friday. So think about the people you're bringing with you and whether they're up for the strain of walking half a mile or more, riding the bus, standing outside in the rain or the heat or whatever. So be considerate. We want everybody to have a good time. It's a great day, and everybody should have a good time while they're there.
So we touched on the weather, but you have some tips to make sure that people are prepared because some of it is the walking, as you mentioned.
Yeah. We want you to come prepared. Know that you're going to walk, so think about your shoes. Think about your parents or grandparents or anybody that you're asking to be there with you. Don't forget your ring day ticket. You need 2 forms of ID. You need a ticket to get in the building, and then once you get in the building, you got to show us 2 forms of ID so that we can make sure that you're the person who earned that specific ring.
Sure.
You're not going to be in the building long, 15 minutes tops, and then you're out the other side, and we bring in another 150 ring recipients and their families. So plan accordingly. There's all kinds of stuff to do in and around the Williams Alumni Center and in Aggie Park. You can take pictures. You can go to the Ring Day Marketplace. CC Creations will be there selling the official Ring Day shirt. We got a lot of other vendors. Parsons Calvary will kick us off as they always do. And they hang around and you can take pictures with the Spirit of O2 cannon. We appreciate them. But, and the creamery will be open in the park.
That's right.
Too. So
That's right.
if it is hot, get you some ice cream.
And also, you cannot park there, right? You can't park at the Alumni Center.
That is correct. The best thing to do is to park at the West Campus garage. There is a dedicated express shuttle going between the garage and our place and back and forth.
That's easy.
All day long. Park there. You can even prepay if you have the app or online. Park there. There's hardly any wait at all. Get on the bus. They'll bring you, drop you off at near our place. Mm-hmm. You'll walk a little bit, and then when you're done, get right back on the bus, and you're back at West Campus in a few minutes.
I don't remember. You may have mentioned this, but there's going to be also a commemorative painting as well.
Yeah, I'm pretty psyched about this. So there's an artist named Trey Stevens, class of 08.
Okay.
And he's going to be painting live on Ring Day.
That's great.
And as people come by, he's going to invite them to add strokes to the painting.
Right.
And so everybody who participates will end up getting a printed copy of it. And when it's all done, we'll have a cool unveiling of the painting that was created by the people at Ring Day.
So every Aggie has their story. And especially with Ring Day. Sue, I know you've been busy telling stories. What's one of the latest features you've been working on?
Well, one is the 25th anniversary of Ring Day. Like you said, people think either people think it's been around forever, or what we hear is, well, I didn't have a Ring Day. I didn't have a Ring Day. I just walked up to the building, got my ring, and went back to class with my hand feeling all heavy, But I'm old, Everybody since 2000 onward has had a chance to have this kind of experience. And like you said, I think, so the story, it'll be launching online soon, 25 years of Ring Day, and kind of looking back through, kind of one of my things, honestly, was like, you don't always get to see a tradition start. Let's write this down.
Right.
Let's put this on the record. And, Aggie rings were around for 100 years before anybody really thought, let's make that day you pick it up into a thing. And it is now. Porter Garner thought, let's make this a thing. And the thing you said about the crowds, I think that's the real difference. It used to be, even in the early days, so when the story goes up online, you'll see these pictures. The first Ring Days where people were camping out in tents. The first Ring Day, they were like, we don't know exactly what we're going to do, but we're going to make it fun.
Right.
They had like a dunking booth, like association staff and yell leaders got dunked, and there was like jousting. There were carnival games. There was free food. And we've done things like that over the years, kind of adding celebratory things to it. But the students started, and this was part of the goal, was they started coming with their friends, and then they started coming with their families.
Mm-hmm.
And, over the years, we added like where you get your ring ticket time in advance. And that let people really plan. And so from then on, you start seeing things like people getting their family member to hand them their Aggie ring.
Right.
And if there's any way to invest more meaning in this thing, like I said, I just went down and like showed my ID and got mine. And this ring means a lot to me. But if a family member had presented this to me, that's another layer of soul into this.
Imagine if your dad had been the person.
Exactly, he'd have loved that, and I would have too. And
was there resistance to the beginnings?
I don't think so. I think it was just kind of an idea that was had, and they said, "Let's do this."
Well, isn't that the beauty of A&M too? Like we have these traditions, and even new traditions feel like they've been around. Like this is 25 years, but to me, this is what we've always done. Even though I didn't participate in it, it just kind of feels like part of the Aggie history.
Yeah.
And it turns into this huge celebration. You can't get a dinner reservation anywhere in town. It's nuts.
Yeah.
But I think Porter would say the fact that it brings all of these people together who maybe in their family, they didn't know about the Aggie ring and they didn't know what it meant, but they come and they see what this is.
Such a great story. Let's talk about opportunity. I talk about it on the show often. You guys hire.
We do.
And you like hiring quality professionals, people who want to move to the area, but you have different types of openings.
Yeah, we're always hiring pretty much these days. Professionals, students. We hire a lot of students as well. We love our students. We could not operate without them. We have 43 on staff as of this morning. We've probably got 15 or 16 open student positions right now, plus another 100 positions in our engagement center.
Mm-hmm.
We love Aggie students. It's always been my opinion that Aggie students are kind of a cut above most college students, and then the ones we get to interact with, I feel like, are even a cut above the average. And so it's inspiring to be around the students, and they contribute a lot to the operation of the association and help us help more Aggies. tx.ag/association jobs. We've always got our openings posted there. It's also a great place, as you said, for professionals to work, especially folks who graduated from A&M and have always wanted to come back, right? They've always wanted to come back to the center of the universe, right? It's what I did.
It's what I
Sue did. It's what you did.
Randy.
That's what Randy did. That's right. And we're all glad we did.
Yeah.
And the association, this is a great place to live. The association is a great place to work.
Do you guys ever, when you go to a big city, do you like, God, I can miss college? Does that happen to you like it does to me? Like, get me out of here.
Yeah, our little 10-minute rush hour that we complain
Oh my gosh,
about.
I had to wait at Welborn forever, the train, and I'm home in 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly right.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with Steve Denton talking about good Aggie sports. The men's tennis team is doing awesome stuff. Right now, though, your car wash tradition with the friendliest staff is Aggieland Express Car Wash. You got 2 great locations. The one on William D. Fitch is the original behind the Shipleys in South College Station. The newest location, 2528 South Texas Avenue in College Station, across from the Planet Fitness. They both offer all the varying options, wash options, I should say. But the newest location does offer the full-service wash. They'll take care of everything for you, and they have 3 levels of full-service washes. So make sure you check them out. And I'm going to give one away right now. The first caller at 979-693-1150, you'll get a full-service wash free from Aggieland Express Car Wash. 979-693-1150 is a $40 value. Is Aggieland Express Car Wash. And we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk a little Aggie men's tennis. Steve Denton in studio to talk all about it. Great weekend and great season so far, Coach Denton.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we've had a good season. We've played a lot of really tough teams. Obviously, in the SEC, we were able to qualify for the national indoors, which was, a great thing for us, and got to play a lot of great teams there. And then we're sitting in a pretty good position in the conference. I think we're second right now behind Texas, who's undefeated. We've got a tough stretch here. These next 3 or 4 matches, we've got Mississippi State this Thursday, and they're a very good team and really experienced from top to bottom. And then obviously we're getting to play Texas on Saturday, which we're looking forward to. And obviously I think the fans will look forward to coming out. Anytime we play Texas, it's a big deal, and they're very good, like they are in most every sport, and we're hoping to be able to upset them.
Yeah, it's they're pretty good, but the season you all have had, I think SEC play has brought out maybe the best in your team, because as the competition ramps up, some of your players are stepping up.
They are. We've had Theo Papamalamis at the top of our lineup.
You say that so well. It's so good.
Well, I've had a little practice, but. Greek origin, but from France, and another one of our great young French players that we've had over the past, Arthur Rinderneck and Valentin Vachereau. Those guys were really good for us, and last year Raphael Perot. So we've had a French connection, as it were. Yeah. And he's very good. He's very, for a freshman, he's had an amazing year. Alan Magadan just got eligible not long ago and has maybe lost 1 match, I think, this year so far. And since he's been in the lineup, we've had a good run. So we've had, a lot of success. Tiago Perez is another really good young player for us, and very athletic. And so we're excited about, the team and the trajectory of this team. And obviously, we've got some really tough matches coming up that we're going to have to play our best tennis if we're going to continue to prevail.
How much can you learn during the indoor for the outdoor about just the way players' mindset works? I mean, I assume the mindset, to me, translates across.
It does. I mean, the difference is the physicality with your legs, because the ball stays lower and shoots through the court a little more. So that's a little different indoors, and obviously we don't have indoor courts to be able to utilize on a regular basis. But some of our guys have played indoor tennis before. I think, like you said, the mentality part of it is, one, we get to see the best teams in the country in the National Indoor Championship, which gives us, a gauge of what we need to do and where we need to be, when we get toward postseason play. So those are all positive things to get that opportunity to play with those players and play against those teams. And when you play against them, you gain confidence and, just become more relaxed and being able to realize that you belong in that setting and can be successful.
And you mentioned Theo earlier. Just tell me a little bit about him, the way his mind works, the way his competitive streak works, and how he's rising to the opportunity.
Well, he was a semifinalist at Wimbledon in the juniors. He was a top 10 player in the world. So he knows how to play in that regard. So he's won a lot. And has high expectations that he's going to continue to win. And not only that, but, he wants to play pro tennis after. So he looks at this as a stage of his career in order to continue to develop so that he can get better. He got a wild card into Indian Wells this year, the Big 1000 Series tournament, one of the big ATP tournaments, maybe one of the top 6 tournaments in the world. He played a guy first round and he lost 7-5 in the third. A guy that was ranked 40 in the world, not long ago. So he has the capability, he has the belief system, he moves very well, he's worked really hard on the different parts of his game, but he's still 18, 19 years old and still, a freshman.
Right.
And so he's going through some growing pains and learning how to deal with these matches. College tennis is much different than pro tennis or junior tennis because you're obviously playing for a team. There's a lot more pressure, but I think that pressure allows a person to hone their skills so that they can prepare themselves for what's going to come later in their career.
I was going to say college soccer seems to me to be a necessary step for some folks because it's a ramp up in competition, but also not only are they bonding with their teammates, it feels like it's such a training ground for the next level.
It is. I mean, we had last year I went to the French Open and we had 6 players playing at the French Open. I think any other school in the country, maybe there were 3 at the most. So we've done a good job of developing young players to allow them to go on and play and obviously have a career and make some money. And these guys are coming here as a result of these previous players that have been here in the past. And, they see that same path that they need to go down in order to be successful. And that's why they're here, and that's why they're playing against these difficult teams and playing in this really strong SEC, which top to bottom, maybe, in the past, maybe we were a little top heavy as a conference, but now any team can beat you on any given day because of the talent level that they have on their rosters.
Am I right? It's a smaller roster than before?
Well, no, the roster size has been about the same. It is going to be smaller in the future.
In the future, right?
Right, but up until now, we've been able to have a pretty good sized roster to get guys some more playing time and give some freshness to our guys. So at the end of the season, they're not beat down too much. So in that regard, depth obviously is really important. But it is going to change in the future, no doubt.
Have there been changes this year, though, that have affected the way you go about business, or still looking at what's happening here with all the changes and the frameworks that are coming?
Yeah, I just think it's all, there's so much uncertainty still about what's going to happen and all, and I think the athletic department, there's uncertainty as well. And so as coaches, we just have to roll with the punches here and be prepared to pivot whenever we need to and be flexible. And if we can do that, obviously we'll continue to be successful. And the great thing about Texas A&M is, our fans, our support system really helps us a tremendous amount. And if we're going to fail here at Texas A&M and the Southeastern Conference, then a lot of people in the country are going to fail.
Right.
So we're in a great spot. People support us, and our kids are given everything they need to be successful. And so that's what's the great thing that being here at Texas A&M has meant to me, the players, and obviously our team.
Coach Denton, what about the ability to close out sets? I know that was something that was very important this past weekend.
Yeah, when we played South Carolina on Friday night, we had a couple matches that I felt like that at the back end of the sets, they just didn't play their best tennis. And you got to give South Carolina a lot of credit. They hung in there, stayed in a couple of those matches, were able to turn them around and win them. On Sunday, the exact opposite occurred. When we played Kentucky, we were at the end of some sets. Our guys stepped up and played well at the end of those sets and kind of kept control of the match. And so, these are learning experiences for these young players. And for me, you either win or you learn.
Right.
And we had a lesson that we needed to learn on Friday night, and hopefully that'll translate for us as we move forward in the season.
And talk to me about Mississippi State.
Really good. They beat South Carolina at 4-3 at their place. They're on a hot streak. They're one of the better doubles teams in the country, and top to bottom, they have a lot of ranked players with winning records at each line. And so, our challenge is obviously going there. We've had success against them before, but they're a very good team, well coached, and it's not easy to play there like any SEC program. I think you have to be 20% better than them on the road if you're going to beat them. And I think our job for this week really is about trying to help our guys stay in the moment, play Mississippi State, respect them and how good they are and how difficult this match is going to be, and then a quick turnaround to get back home to play Texas on Saturday, which all of the players are looking forward to, I'm sure. But first things first.
Yeah, you can't look ahead. But this part of the schedules where you're really going to.
Well, we've got Tennessee and Georgia next week on the road as well.
Yeah.
And in the conference right now, Texas is at the top, us and South Carolina, then Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Georgia. So all the top tier teams in the conference on the road, with the exception of Texas. And so this is really going to challenge us and determine where we sit in the conference, but also determine our, future for the NCAA tournament as well. And so this is this is championship time now. It's time to step up and play your best.
Playoffs starting early. Coach Denton, thank you so much for coming in.
Appreciate you having me.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you
Good
so
luck
much.
to you, sir.
Thank
right
you.
now, if your car was hit by the recent hailstorm, don't trust an out-of-town pop-up tent with your car. Trust a locally owned and operated business. Classic Collision Restoration specializes in paintless dent repair to hail damage and repair. Those out-of-town pop-up tents will be gone soon, so who's going to stand behind their work? If the paint starts to chip or your trim starts to fall off, let Classic Collision and Restoration handle your insurance claim for your hail damage repair. Keep your business local. They've been around for 25 years. Countless customers have trusted them to bring their car back to showroom form. For top quality auto body repair, Classic Collision and Restoration is here to help. No one in the Brazos Valley offers the same quality of service and detail than Classic Collision provides. And you know how the saying goes, you get what you pay for. So make sure you call them up and get it done. They are Aggie owned and operated by Doug Leopold, class of 1993. Call Classic Collision and Restoration today, 979-779-8399, or online at classiccollisionandrestoration.com. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Reed Neal. Reed, you got some more notes that we didn't get to earlier.
Yeah, so we started talking about women's tennis earlier when we were talking about player of the week. And one player I did want to mention is number 40, Luciana Perez. She had her 11th straight victory this weekend. She did lose her first, going 4-6, but she quickly came back, responding. She went 6-1 and then 6-3. So like I said, this is her 11th straight victory. Her record is 19-3 this season, and this is her 10th defeat in conference, and she's undefeated in conference, 10-0.
Yep, she's great. By the way, I was going back and forth with Coach Corton. They finished 7th last week. We'll have him in studio this week. We'll hopefully get Coach Weaver. We're trying to get all the coaches on that we haven't spoken to in a few weeks. So what other notes do you have for us, Reed?
So we've got a text. Earlier, I read a little bit of a pessimistic text about the D-line. This one's a little bit more optimistic.
Let's go optimism.
He says, D-line will be better this year. Our 3 stars didn't deliver down the stretch, and I wonder how much they were trying to ensure they stayed healthy after the reality of the Le'Veon injury. I also think linebacker play will be a better complement to the D-line this year.
Look, I'm never going to guess on what somebody's mindset is, right? Like, just the defense overall didn't get it done, right? And I'm going to tell you, even though some of the numbers look good early on in the season, I just think it was really a problem all season long, like getting to the quarterback. There were certain games that, they turned it on, like we mentioned earlier, the LSU second half. But the defense overall had real big pockets throughout the year. They weren't able to get to the quarterback against Notre Dame. There were other games afterwards, right, that you were like, man. And then there was games like, I think they've turned the corner. Mm-hmm. The bottom line is if you can't tackle, you're not going to win games. And I don't care if it's the defensive line getting pressure or not, or if it's the defensive backs. They were not able to tackle. Mm-hmm. Please tackle. Tackle means wins.
Yeah. And then again, with football, a commenter on the TexAgs Live, they say, Ags will lose all 3 road games you noted. Notre Dame.
Who's saying this?
Calvin won on the TexAgs
Calvin won,
website.
Okay, on TexAgs.com?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Calvin, are you really that pessimistic? They're going to lose all 3. So which of the 3 he mentions?
So Notre Dame, Texas, and LSU.
Okay. Trying to think of how I want to phrase this. Nick, help me out here. I understand the pessimism, but it's way too damn long of an offseason to be that pessimistic until September. Do you think, and are we basing that on A&M or on the opponents? A healthy A&M on the road at Notre Dame sounds like a loss, and I think Vegas is going to pick them to lose. But I don't know enough about Notre Dame to tell you that's a loss. Are they going to lose?
I think it's fair to say right now, Notre Dame's going to be favored in that game 100%, but is it going to be a 7+ point spread? No, it's going to be that's like a 3.5, 4.5 point spread type of game to me.
Of those 3 road games, can you win one of them? The can is yes. Mm-hmm. Can you? If I told you you're getting A&M, LSU is not a fair game because I think in the first half they were really bad and they could have been blown out. Second half they were so good that doesn't count. If I said you got, I don't even say Missouri because that was such an outlier. If you got A&M that you got in the Florida-Arkansas game, right? If you got that A&M team, obviously they won both of those games. You get that A&M team healthy on the road at Notre Dame, on the road at LSU, on the road at Texas. Can that team that didn't get hurt win 1 or 2 of those road games?
I think Notre Dame would be your best shot for sure. And especially, I think you could argue that the team that they could have this time playing Notre Dame will be better and more prepared than we were this year. And we almost won this year.
I'm just going to, and we got to hit a break here in about 10 seconds. I'm also going to say this. If you get quarterback play in that Notre Dame game, you win that game. You didn't get quarterback play. Mm-hmm. Still a big if. I get it. All right, we'll hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs Live, I don't have our rundown. I think Amanda Scarborough is coming up next. It's TexAgs. All right, we are back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Thank goodness for Aggie softball. That's what I got to say, because things have been hard here at A&M. Let's go to the Buppies Catering Hotline. We're joined by an Aggie softball legend, ESPN analyst, Amanda Scarborough here on the program. Amanda, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
So what's in the background? I love it.
So I had a pitching event in December with 160 pitchers, youth pitchers from all over the country. And they started out as wings that were empty. And then as the event went on, we filled them in to feel united and connected and putting in work to make something stronger than when it started.
Oh, I love it. It looks good. So how about the way this A&M softball team has started the season? 31-5, their best start since 2017. What is something that stood out when you watched this version of Trisha Ford's team play? What stands out to you?
I just think that they're hard to beat. That's definitely something that stands out. And I know that with their record, that might sound like a cliche, but all too often I see teams fall behind because, I call a lot of games. I follow a lot of softball. I see teams fall behind and they get down and never come back. And I just feel like watching this team, they always feel like they're in it. They don't panic. They're solid in all parts of their game. And I feel like this team really likes each other. They like to play together. You can see that with how tough they are to beat. And again, that's hard to come by. You see teams get down and not find ways to claw back in because maybe something's going on in the background. I don't know. But this team, they just seem solid in every single part of the game, from in the dugout to in the circle to on defense to the way that they hit to the way that they just like each other.
We get Trisha in studio once a week, and I'm always blown away by how relatable she is, yet focused and knows how to push the right buttons. What are some of the things that you see from afar? Wow, she knows what she's doing.
Just the way that she's balancing the pitching staff around Emily Kennedy this year and not having the full staff available for every single weekend. She's had to figure out ways to make that work seemingly effortless. You'd never know from the outside looking in that maybe at times a full staff hasn't been available and they just keep moving forward. So I think that the depth of the pitching staff and is what stands out to me. And then shuffling around the lineup too. The way that they've moved Coco down in the lineup recently and put Kennedy Powell as a leadoff and just tried to see which pieces are going to work where offensively. I love Coco in that 5-hole and Kennedy Powell leading off and Amari Harper, shuffling around the lineup to just figure out what's going to work the best with this team and the pieces that she has.
Yeah, I love watching her work behind the scenes. I love when I get to talk to her. How about Maya Perez? All right, so last year she comes in and there are expectations, but there's some great players in front of her. She has come in and gotten a hit in 32 out of 34 games. She's just been phenomenal. What have you seen from the young player?
She's just really good. And I think that swing in super regionals in Austin at the end of last year that, ended A&M season. But for her, I felt like her coming in with that pinch hit, home run, forgot which game it was at this point, but it was just the home run really heard around the world of softball. I think it's what gave her confidence to come into this year and just show the hitter that Trisha Ford recruited her to be. I don't think it's any surprise for the A&M coaching staff how she's performed this year. I think it was more so maybe, we knew that this is the hitter that she could be. And I think she was just a freshman last year that was just trying to figure her way out. And she put in a lot of work and had some moments, even though she wasn't a consistent starter last year, and made the most of it at the end of the year. And I think it gave her confidence to come into this year to prove this is the type of hitter that she really is and can be.
Well, you mentioned Emily Kennedy earlier. Got her 60th win, 15th career shutout this past weekend. How have you seen her evolve on the bump?
I think the biggest thing is just her presence and her confidence. She's always had really good stuff. The fact that you're left-handed and can throw over 70 miles an hour like that is something that's always going to be unique and stands out. It's just her mindset that's really grown and her presence to not let the umpire, things around her that she can't control, get to her body language and get to her mindset and take away from all the talent that she has, which, can happen in any position, but especially as a pitcher. and just trusting more in Coach Ford and their relationship developing. And of course, the pitching staff being deeper behind her. I think that this has been a different role for her than she had in the past couple of years, in a sense that it was all on her for the past few years. And now she's not pitching as many innings because she has support behind her. So just trying to figure that out of not having the ball every single game like she did in years past, and what that looks like for her to have a little bit more time off, both mentally and physically, and being the one that pitches in the biggest games. I mean, again, that was her last year, but now it's like she doesn't have all those in between innings and games to figure things out. And I think she's a pitcher that thrives with the more innings that she throws. And this year, they have such a deep pitching staff. She hasn't had to take as many of those innings on, and just figure it out as she goes on, to not pitch as much, and what that looks and feels like for her.
How can that translate to the postseason, though? Because she'll be more fresh for opportunities to go out there more often at that point.
Yeah, and that's the goal, right? To pitch your best and to be your best at the very end of the season. And what Coach Ford's probably trying to figure out for not just Emily, but for the entire rest of the pitching staff, knowing that she's going to need them down the line, is how can we get these pitchers in and ready and get them enough innings and spread out the innings amongst them all to know that they're going to be reliable in the postseason. And especially Emily Kennedy, she's going to be the ace, but the other pitchers are going to play an essential role this year as well in the postseason and for the rest of April and May.
How about Mac Barber? It feels like she's been here for a long time. She hasn't, but she fits in so nicely and obviously is producing at a high level.
Yeah, she brings a really big presence to the plate to protect Maya. And to be right there in the middle of the order. This A&M offense just has a lot of lefties and a lot of left-handed power, of course, with Maya, and then Mac hitting behind her, and of course Amari with the way that she's swinging in the two holes. So Mac Barber brings a huge presence. She's a leader, like just constantly studying the pitchers and looking at video. And she has a lot of games played. So I love that veteran leadership that she brings, and just all the at-bats that she's had just really brings a tough hitter in the middle of the lineup for A&M.
I think I saw 17 players got a plate appearance recently. And just talk to me a little bit about how deep A&M is. And really in a crowded SEC, you're going to have to be deep.
Yeah, definitely. Probably one of the deepest A&M teams that we've had in a really long time. Just looking at all the different options that you have. And of course, that deep roster makes practices more competitive. It made the fall more competitive, just preparing them for the season. And I think that, again, that's why you're seeing such a solid team, and a team that's really hard to beat because they are so deep. So when someone goes down, we're moving people around and putting people in different positions. And I feel like the true prime example of that is just Amari Harper and the season that she's put together, and playing with a broken finger. You see that she's leading the team in batting average, and just I feel like she's a Swiss Army knife. Like you could put her anywhere, and she hasn't gotten down when maybe she wasn't starting because of her broken finger, or somebody at that time was playing a little bit better than her, had an opportunity because Amari went down. Like she is a Swiss Army knife with her mindset, with the way that she can fit into any puzzle piece, any part of the lineup. Like Amari Harper, you just don't see a player like her very often. But that to me goes to show the depth of A&M, that you have a player like Amari Harper and others that are like her that just have so much versatility, and you can put them in any spot in the lineup and any spot in the field.
Man, I don't know if I want to call it areas of concern, but there was an area you're keeping an eye on for A&M. What's an area like, let's see how this shakes out?
Yeah, I guess maybe just their lack of home run production. Like when you look at A&M with where they're at, there's not a lot of stats that just jump off of the page at you. And again, I think it's because they're just solid in a lot of different areas, but more toward the bottom of the SEC in home runs. And I just feel like at times, there are times that you just need that big swing that puts the ball out of the ballpark, that gets you on the board quickly. So I guess that would be an area of concern, just looking at the stats. But I just am impressed with how they continue to find ways to win and score runs even without the long ball. When you look at the people who are the teams that are at the top of the conference, it's the teams that have a lot of home run power, and that's not A&M, and they're still more toward the top, still ranked in the top 10. So it's just unique in the way that they're just a full front in defense, circle, and at the plate. They're just tough to beat even without that.
Isn't it? Well, tell me if I'm speaking out of turn here, but I feel like part of that, this team will probably hit more home runs. I think they've hit it in 5 straight games. I think there was a little lull from Mac early on where she wasn't hitting home runs. So to me, like the law of averages, you would expect that number to go up. Am I on the right track here?
It's a good question. I mean, you do expect it to go up, but you're playing the best competition that you're going to play. Although A&M has played one of the hardest schedules from February to now in the country, but you're just only going to be facing tougher pitching in the SEC and then in the SEC tournament and then the postseason. So maybe not. I mean, I think that even though they don't have that power necessarily yet, they have the speed that can take the extra bases that maybe is lacking in the home run department. They're still finding ways to take an extra 60 feet whenever they can and push the envelope. That there's things that A&M's offense is good at that don't necessarily show up in the stats, that aren't a home run category or slugging percentage category, but they're constantly taking extra bases, putting pressure on defense. So they have this speed and athleticism about them that you can't necessarily categorize.
2-part question. How do you think the non-con got them ready for this part of their SEC schedule, the non-conference schedule that was so tough? And also, the success that they felt at the end of last year and how close they were to going on even deeper, just how much of that can that build into right now and beyond in the postseason?
Yeah, I think that the success that they had at the end of last year is a huge part for why they just feel so calm and confident throughout any game. Because if you can play in a super regional like that and feel like you're in it against the number 1 seed of Texas or whoever it is that has that uniform on and you're right there with them, I mean, how can that not give you confidence to come into this year and think we were just out? So we were just an inning or 2 away from making it to the World Series, which is, of course, our destination that we want to get to. And that non-conference schedule that they played in 100% prepared them. And I think at the beginning of the year in February, when you're playing those non-conference games, they're going to be tough and challenging when you put together a schedule like this coaching staff did. And it can either take you one way or the other. Like you're either going to learn to battle and work through those hard games and gain confidence, or you're going to go down and lose some of those games. It's going to take away your confidence going through the rest of the year. And you're just going to feel like it's a grind and a battle throughout the whole year. So I feel like looking back, I mean, that month of February and the schedule and the wins that they put together is a huge plus the super regional from the year before. All of that has built confidence to enter this month of April and May, feeling really good.
Amanda, I feel like every sport I talk about when it's the SEC, the top 5 of the 10 teams, top 9 of the 10 teams, and softball's no different. Top 7 of the top 10 teams all come from the SEC. Just talk to me about this conference and beyond what A&M is going to have to do, just how hard it is, even for Oklahoma, who lost this past weekend. And like there's these teams that we're used to seeing it in the 1, 2, and 3 all have a gauntlet coming up.
Well, it's just really wild that probably multiple teams who are ranked in the top 10 will finish in the middle of the conference when it's all said and done. Like when we're in May, you're going to see top 10, top 15 teams finish 6th, 7th, 8th, even maybe in the conference, which just goes to show that, how deep it is. And with adding Oklahoma and Texas, I mean, they're the 2 teams that the past 4 years have found themselves multiple times in the champ series. And of course, Oklahoma 4-time champs. So, the bottom of the SEC has just gotten stronger. I mean, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, South Carolina, these are teams that we're used to seeing pretty comfortably at the bottom of the SEC. And, they're like competitive and strong and maybe knocking on the door of the top 25. But now those teams that I just named, they're in the top 10, top 15. And Mississippi State beat Texas this past weekend. I mean, this absolutely, even if Oklahoma and Texas were not added to this conference, this would still, in my opinion, be the deepest that the SEC has ever been, because those bottom tier teams have just gotten stronger and made the conference deeper.
Kind of a dumb question here, but is that good for the SEC? Obviously, it's good to have that many good teams, but for postseason success, do you think it can take a lot out of you just to navigate through an SEC schedule, and then you got to okay, got to get back up for this postseason run?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that they're still trying to figure it out. And from the outside looking in, as an analyst and somebody who is close and follows the sport, I think that we're all trying to figure out why the last time that the SEC made it to the Champ Series was 2017. With the strength of the conference, the last team to make the Champ Series was Florida in 2017. And, before that, it was Alabama winning in 12 and Florida winning in 14 and 15. And the SEC was on a roll. And then all of a sudden, it just has stopped. And why is that? I don't have an answer for it. I've been trying to ask a lot of people, specifically this year. Maybe it will be different now that you have OU and Texas in the conference and they've been making the finals and stuff. But I don't know. Maybe that is why, the strength of the conference. Maybe it's a different reason. I don't know. I don't have an answer for it, but I think it's very possible that the strength of the SEC might be hurting them in the postseason. But I'd like to think it would just be making them stronger.
From an analyst perspective, how has NIL and the transfer portal kind of changed roster collection, roster management from a softball perspective?
I think the biggest part is just finding a pitcher that can help you. I mean, you look at Oklahoma since we came back from 2020, and every year they've won a national championship. They have had an ace pitcher that has been a transfer, even coming in for just 1 year to help them out. So I think specifically with pitching, it's where you can pick up, and it's what A&M did as well with Sidney Peters and Grace Sparks. Like, it's a way to make you specifically stronger in the circle, which if you're strong in the circle in our game, you're going to be a strong contender. The name of the game is pitching, really, to be able to give you depth and longevity. And I think that that's where you're seeing the biggest impact.
Before I let you go, we've talked a lot about A&M and reasons for optimism, but if you were to sum it up as like, hey, this team could be making it to the College World Series because this and this, what would you say?
I think because of their their experience, their veterans and their leadership, that's what definitely comes to mind. And I just think that they feel that they've been growing every year that Tricia has been a part of the program. So the last 3 years, and they see the results, they see that they're getting better, and they just look more confident. Like, I don't know any other way to say it, because I watch all of their games. They just look calm and confident, and like a team that goes out and expects to win instead of hopes to win, like it has been in the past. And as a former athlete, I feel that. I get that. You used to show up for games sometimes like, I hope we can beat this team. This team knows that they can beat anybody in the country, and they play like it.
That starts from the top, right? Like the coach has to almost set a tone and translate that to the players.
They have to come in and say, we're going to win. Period. And this is even 2 or 3 years ago when she came in and maybe didn't have the talent that they have this year and the depth that they have this year. You come in and say, we're going to win. Doesn't matter if X, Y, Z happen. No, we're expecting to win. We're going to win. And then it starts to pay off in how you practice and how you take the field every day.
Amanda, great stuff. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye. Amanda Scarborough there on the Buppy's Catering Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll come back, talk a little Aggie Dance Team. We'll talk a little Jamie Morrison. I'm sure we'll talk some basketball in between. They got the Final Four coming up. We've got the Buzz Watch. We've got Aggie football spring practice happening. Maybe we'll have some reports out of that. So we'll do that. Right now, I want to talk to you about Heritage Films. My buddy Chance McClain is the one who does. He's the founder, but he's the one who makes these documentaries. He's preserving family stories that would otherwise be lost forever. Imagine capturing your dad's journey, your grandfather's struggles, whatever story it may be, your family's entire legacy in a professional cinematic presentation in a documentary form. The kind that you would get on Netflix, on HBO, on whatever it may be. These aren't just random videos. These are the kind of stories that families are about that can preserve that story. Chance travels the nation, spending weeks and just crafts a beautiful story for kids, for grandkids, for generations to come, that they're going to be able to treasure and enjoy it. And trust me, you won't regret it. Call Chance up at 713-893-8341. That is 713-893-8341. Or check out yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. This isn't just a service. It's a time machine for your family's most precious memories. It's Heritage Films. And we're back, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been around Aggie Land since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com. And your favorites are on their way. A little Aggie Dance Team heading to the championship soon. Amy Leifer is here in studio. Hasn't been 2 years-ish?
2 years,
2 years.
yeah.
It's been a minute. Haley Mundy, hello.
Hello.
How are you? I didn't mean to point.
Good. No, you're
Isabella Anding, hi. How are you?
Yes, hi. Good. How are you?
So let's talk about it. Every year you guys are winning stuff, championships, but this year, Amy, it's a different championship you're entering, right?
We are. We are going to NDA, which is the National Dance Association's College Nationals.
Okay.
It's in Daytona, Florida, hosted by Varsity, and we're very excited to be a part of it.
Are you excited?
Oh, super excited.
Is it nerve-wracking at this point? Is it now? Is it just, I can't wait to get to Florida? What is it like?
A little bit of everything. There's a lot of emotions, I think, going into it. We're obviously very excited to step into a bigger competition this season, a lot more pressure on us,
Yeah.
a lot more eyes, I think, but we're ready to step up to the plate and do our best.
Isabella?
Yeah, it's definitely different than the competition that we've been to in the past, but we're all just so excited to go to something bigger this year.
So, Amy, why the change?
The D1A division at the competition that we have been going to has kind of plateaued.
Mm-hmm.
And we just wanted to experience something and dance on a bigger stage and compete against more D1A teams.
So it's like everything else that A&M does. You'd like to step up in competition
Yep.
and do it. Is that worrisome? Is it scary? Is it exciting?
I think it's more so exciting. It allows this program to grow exponentially, I think, so I'm very excited.
Isabella?
I think it's also just such a great opportunity
Yeah.
for us because we've been going to DTU at different nationals for a while. And this is just something we've been working toward the entire year
Yeah.
and in the past 4 years that we've been here.
Can I ask you guys something that has nothing to do with what we're talking about?
Sure.
Yes.
Did you guys grow up watching Dance Moms?
Oh,
Of course. Still do.
I still watch it to this day. I'll go back and watch it.
Yeah, we'll go back and watch old dances and stuff.
I asked because my daughters love to watch that show, and every time I walk by and it's on, I'm like, I hate this show, but I can't stop watching for the 5 seconds because the main lady can be mean unless you're friends with her. I'm sorry.
No, I'm
not. Okay. I'm sorry.
Don't know her person.
No, okay. I just had to ask about Dance Moms. Okay, so 2 different routines this year?
Yes, we are competing our jazz and team performance routines.
Okay. And help us understand what goes into that.
So we start learning our choreography in end of November, early December, and we work on these routines at least 10 hours a week, each routine from then until now.
Mm-hmm.
And really hit like the final changes and cleans and making sure they're very polished like through next week.
Okay. Isabella, fine-tuning it, is there a point where you're like, okay, we're ready?
Honestly, yes. We have really long practices on Saturdays and Sundays the last few months leading up to nationals. And we had one this past weekend where we all did really well, like polishing our cleans. And we just all work really well together to where this last run that we had this past weekend, we're ready and we're like, okay, we're more confident now going into this next week, last week before nationals. And we just feel a lot more ready coming into it now.
Does it feel like you still need more time, or you're like, all right, it's time to go?
I think the time we're at right now is absolutely the best spot we could be in. I think this year, compared to even past years, we feel even more prepared than we have in the past. Our work ethic this year, I think, is just very strong, and our camaraderie is very strong this year. And yes, we still have a little ways to go. We have that week where we can really make those final polishes, but we're in a really good place right now.
And last year, what was first runner-up?
Yeah.
Is there a switch in mindset? And not to make it like a sports thing, but like, we're in it to win it.
Yes, very much so. Especially since we're dancing on a larger stage this year. We just really want to go and show everyone what we've been working on, and that Texas A&M is entering this competition, and we're here to work.
Tell me a little bit about the personalities on the team, and each group is unique. Talk to me about that.
I would say like this team this year is like super special. I'm going to try not to get sentimental.
Yeah.
The camaraderie and connections that this group has this year has been something that this is the group that was needed to take this team to the next level. At the end of our practice, if they don't feel like something hit, they're like, hey, can we do this full out one more time? And I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go. Like, they're not comfortable with where they ended, and they want to make sure they end on a good note. They work hard. We also have a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is great friends. It's just a really great team this year.
What's the commitment like? Like, how often are you all meeting?
I would say it kind of varies. When we're in off season, it's probably about like 8 to 10 hours a week, would you say? And then nationals is probably more like 20. It's kind of hard to ballpark just because it fluctuates with our schedule, with traveling for basketball and all that good stuff. But I would say about 20, 30 a week when we're in national season.
But does it feel like work? Because it seems like it's a very close group, Isabella.
Honestly, no, because we are a really close group this year, and like I consider every single girl on the team my best friends.
Yeah.
And so we just love coming to practice, and we don't see it as like work as much as it is like just hanging out together and working together toward a certain goal. And it's just very rewarding to be able to go work all these hours together.
Amy, take me through the schedule. So what does it look like? When do you all leave? And there's a send-off coming up soon, too, right?
Yes. So we have a send-off at College Station High School this weekend at 6 p.m.
Okay.
Doors open at 5:30. There's no tickets required. We would love to have like the Aggie community come out and support us, get a different insight as to what we work on. And it's very different than what you see at game day. And so that's on Saturday. We leave on Tuesday morning. We have a practice day on Wednesday in Orlando. We'll drive into Daytona Wednesday afternoon. We compete Thursday morning, our jazz routine. Middle of the day, we'll find out if we placed and make finals, which they take half of the teams to finals on Friday. And then Thursday evening, we compete our team performance. And by the end of the night, we'll know if we made finals for that as well.
Keep us abreast. Good luck. And
We will.
I'm looking forward to for a great run, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you very
so
much.
much.
When we come back on TexAgs Live, Jamie Morrison will be in studio. We'll talk about a little Aggie spring volleyball. We'll do that on the other side. Right now, we're talking Rollo Insurance. The difference is real. 888-44-ROLLO or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. They have 60 offices in the great state of Texas, but their headquarters is right here in College Station on Highway 6. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for. They do the shopping for you so that you can accomplish your insurance goals. All of their agents are fantastic. You'll see them all around town if you're in College Station or in Bryan, but anywhere in Texas, you'll find them all over the place. They are the very best at what they do. Call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. It's Rollo Insurance. During the fall, this is weekly, and it's been forever. Jamie Morrison in the studio. How you doing, buddy?
It's good to be here. No, I'm having a better day now that I get to see you. So,
what? Year 3?
I know. I remember when you're saying year 1, and then you're like, year 2's here. And now it's like, yeah, we're grouping up on year 3.
Well, I had a conversation with Trisha about this. Your teams, like for both programs, right? Like felt like it was yours early on. But there is a process to making it yours as you recruit players and set your system. And I think you all did such a great job of it. It's my program now.
Yeah.
But now in year 3, does it feel different? I guess entering your 3rd spring.
Yeah, no. I think from the very beginning, I think there's some coaches that come in and say like, these aren't my recruits and these aren't my people. And I came in and said, hey, these are somebody's kids. These are just like people that I should care about. And I think we did a good job of that from the beginning. And I think very early on, I think it's less of, hey, your people, and more just it's your culture. And I'd set the bar pretty early of this is how it's going to be. And there were some people that was like, hey, this isn't for me. And some people are like, yes, this is absolutely. And I think you see that now in terms of what we have. And we have this mix of people that have been here from the beginning and people that have come in and freshmen that have come in. And I think it's this cool melting pot of creating something beautiful that we have right now.
I remember you wanted this to become a volleyball school.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like the run you all had this past season in the NCAA tournament, it has lingering effects that where people are still talking about your program.
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think we did a good job of building that, and it was almost like we built the fuel for the fire, and then that run was like this spark that all of a sudden it was like this, and I had a lot of people right away like, when do I watch next? When do I watch? I'm like, you probably should have gotten here a month ago, but like, the reason why I came in is we get an opportunity this week and playing 2 spring matches, and the first opportunity to kind of come and see what this new iteration of Texas A&M volleyball looks like.
Well, you did mention that this is one of your most competitive springs you put together.
Yeah.
Why?
We need to push. We need to challenge. And I think if you look at kind of the way we're scheduling next year, and that'll start to come out, but a piece of it's already come out, that in the past we've kind of had these RPI-friendly matches to kind of get warmed up for the season, to kind of get going. But it wasn't necessarily like, hey, we need to go right now. It was like kind of going to be this kind of steady arc into SEC play. And next year we got invited to be in the first serve, which is something that started last year, I think, with 4 matches maybe, or something along those lines. They expanded it to 6, and it's really, they want something to spark interest in college volleyball to start the year, and like as football is getting going too, even before that, of can we get something on national television? And we were invited to play against Minnesota, who's a storied, traditional, good volleyball team. A good friend of mine's the coach there. And it's probably going to be 2 teams in the top 15 going up against each other on the first day. So for me, it was, we need to push right now and see how good we are. We need to get pushed around a little bit. We need to get beat up. We need to learn how good we are. We need to learn where we need to get better so that on our first day of competition next year, we're ready to go.
Sink or swim, right? Like you've got to be able to be ready to roll.
Yeah. And I think this team's ready to be challenged that way, is the other one. And I just got done with practice, and we're playing volleyball at a really high level right now. And we have a pretty experienced volleyball team, and they've gone away from like, I have to be a robot and do this, to I can be creative and be a little bit of creator maker in this, of like, here's this situation, I can do something that I've never seen before. We've had 2 or 3 of those plays, and I get a smile. I'm thinking of them in my head right now of that's where you want your team to get, where they're starting to outgrow you as a coach. They're starting to be able to think on their own, but also bought into what you're talking about.
So when you say this competitive spring, what does it look like?
Just playing teams that are traditionally in the top 25 over and over again for the most part. And we play ourselves tomorrow at 7:30. And then we play TCU, I think finished the season in the top 15. One of their best players isn't there anymore, but they're a good volleyball team. And we play SMU, who I think finished the season in the top 10, maybe top 15, somewhere in there. We kind of repeat that over and over again. We play SMU twice over the stretch. We play Baylor. I play TCU a couple times. So like it's really no, day off in the spring. No easy matches to kind of come in here and play.
How important is the spring for the fall?
I think it sets it up. I think I've talked about this before in here. We don't get the opportunity to coach our players during the summer. So for me, we need to push. We need to get, as much as we can across. We need to make changes. We've been experimenting some different stuff. I pulled in some stuff from the men's game and playing around with some different things in here. And for the spring, it's really kind of, hey, let's throw everything at the wall, see what sticks. And then during the summer, it's up to our players. So it's setting the tone for, hey, the last week of practice, probably here's how you practice on your own. Here's what you need to do during the summer, because we come back and we get 2 weeks to prep for Minnesota. So for me, the spring is probably the, most important time where you're able to shatter skills, put them back together, get things kind of going to the end of it, and then hopefully your players kind of take off during the summer and make it their own.
So you give them a plan, like, all right, this is going to be your time off, but I need you to start ramping up, and this is the fine-tuning.
Yeah, and it's on them. I can't force anything. We can give them the opportunity to get in the weight room. We can give them the opportunity to get in the gym, but like it's up to them to plan practice. It's up to them to decide what they're doing. It's up to them to decide how hard they want to push. And we've had talks about that of like, hey, what do we want to accomplish next year, and what does it take to back that up? And during the summertime, that's on them.
Can you push too much in the summer?
I can't push at all. Like, can they?
So like
can they push too much?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you need to find space. We talk a lot about like filling up your soul. That there's, I don't know, recovery in terms of how we sleep, how we hydrate, how, I don't know, we just talked about this a little bit, but there's also the, how do I fill my soul? And everyone's different in that. So we usually kind of have our captain set some time of line of like, hey, get away. Make sure you take some time and make sure you really relax, spend some time with your family so that when we get back into the gym, you're ready for the grind that comes along with the college volleyball season.
So obviously you want to prepare for the fall. It's the most important part of this, but are there specific goals inside the spring? How much does a win and loss matter? Is it about the process? Is it everything?
Like process. I just talked, like, again, we're experimenting. And we talk a lot about how you learn, and the way we talk about it is you got to do something in a really easy environment to kind of get the idea of what it is, and then you got to make that a little bit more complicated environment, so get it a little bit more game-like, and then you need to put a score on it and feel a little bit of pressure in practice, and then you need to put a score on it and get into a competition, and then you need to be really under pressure. Then it's a piece of you. So we were just talking about some of the changes we made of, hey, like there might be a temptation to like ease away from it when we get into this match, but it's okay for errors to happen right now because the fall is really what matters. So we want to win. We're competitive. But I think for me, if we go out there, we're trying to execute the things that we're trying to do. We're competitive and fiery. Like that's a win.
Yeah.
If the score didn't, I don't know, dictate that at the end, and we figured out, hey, this isn't going to work and this does, like that's also a win. So for me, it's how we play, not necessarily the score at the end of it.
12 returning players. Am I right about that?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
Something like
so
that.
you've got a good nucleus that has done it your way back.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the roster.
Yeah. Had one transfer that came in Kendall Stowers. She had a year off for some medical things, but she's going to be a special volleyball player. We got 4 freshmen that came in. I think they ended up being the number 3 or 4 class in the country. And I just think that kind of nucleus added this new piece to it. And I think they've all been here in the spring and just kind of done this and shot up. And if I were to talk about our roster and really define one thing, I think I almost with certainty, we're going to have the best practice environment in the country. It's probably the deepest roster that's ever happened at Texas A&M, and just the level that's happening in there every single day. And again, some of the creative stuff that's making me smile. Like, I think if we play our cards right and we really compete at a high level in there, that could be the most competitive environment we see throughout a week. So I think that's the biggest thing that I've seen. And then again, I've said it in here, we're recruiting to character quite a bit. Just the level of human being and the level of team and just the level of love that we have within our gym. But also, like, I stopped practice the other day of, like, we had somebody get pissed off that someone took a swing and I stopped practice and they used a bad word. And I'm like, hey, bad words aren't the thing we should be saying. But like the fact that you're upset about it, but then all of a sudden you give her a high five that you love her. Like that's what we want in our gym. We want this idea of, hey, we love each other, but we're going to get a little sassy after each other and compete. And that's a pretty fun environment to be part of. So the roster is going to be good. And just our girls have been grinding their butts off. And we're going to be a really good volleyball team next year. We are now. And again, first opportunity to see them tomorrow at 7:30, and then Saturday at 1 against TCU, Saturday at 5 against SMU.
I think it's exciting, too, because it's not only for the right now, but that competition, that depth, is going to pay dividends later, too, right? Sure. These young players are not only learning how to be great with this environment, but they're going to be asked to do something in the future.
Yeah, no, and I think I've had a talk with the people that have been here since day one, and I'll bring this back to the beginning of this conversation. And I think the hardest thing you can do within a program is change culture. Hardest thing, even harder to do it when you have the same people that are trying to make behavioral change in what they're doing. And I think we have a group of people that really did that set the tone for what Texas A&M volleyball will be, not just this year, but for 20 years from now.
Right.
And that's, I don't know, passing the torch of that. Of these young players, we have transfers that come in, and they're, I don't know, a piece of what's going on within this. And all of a sudden, like, I don't know, there's this fire going on over here. They kind of catch the flame, and all of a sudden, they're the ones passing it on somewhere down the road, and that's a powerful thing. So I think the competitiveness, the amount of love that's in our gym, the amount of care that's going on outside of our gym when people aren't around the volleyball court, All of that stuff is really, really important.
I will probably ask you this in the fall again, but are you somebody, and I'll ask you differently, but are you somebody that looks back or only looks ahead? Like, do you think back at that Wisconsin game, and is that like something, that match, you're thinking about it as you practice, or that was a moment in time, we're moving on?
That's a great question. Both.
No.
I think you got to look to the past to learn.
Yeah.
I think you got to look to the future to plan. And I think you got to be present in the now. Like, this is the most important thing, but I think you got to look in both directions a little bit. I think if you rewind when we first sat down, when I was introduced as the head coach here, and told me that in year 2, I would be frustrated at the fact that we lost in the Sweet 16 to go to the Elite 8 against Wisconsin, a pretty good volleyball team.
Yeah.
Like, if we were sitting here and you're like, hey, let's fast forward, like, and you would be like, I'm like, you're insane.
But in the moment.
But in that moment, we were frustrated.
Yeah.
I think there was a moment that caught me afterwards, and I was in tears a little bit. And my tears weren't like, I don't know, devastation. It was just our team gave us everything that they could in that moment, and it just like it chills us. It hurts when they don't get the reward for it. But I think the most amazing thing is after that, everyone knew we were good enough to go beat Wisconsin. I think when we lost to them earlier in the year, I had a conversation of, I hope we get this team again. And when we got them, they're like, we got them. And there wasn't fear. And we've gotten to the point where we don't care what the logo is on the chest anymore. We care about taking care of business and, I don't know, putting our best foot forward, and whatever happens, happens. So afterwards, I think in the press conference, the Nebraska media were there. Like, we don't see people like look, and I think our team has realized the path that we're on.
Yeah.
I think they realized kind of this is going like this in here. So it wasn't devastation by our team. It was like, man, that sucks and it hurts, but that's a piece of sport. And it was, we're ready to take the next step. We're ready to get back in the gym when it comes to next year. We're ready to take a break, obviously, but get back in the gym and grind and be ready for what's coming and being a better version of ourselves. So our team's in a great spot. We finished the season ranked 16th. I think we'll probably start the season higher than that. I think people around the country have a different view of what Texas A&M volleyball is right now. Like, you talked about that match in terms of excitement here. I think around the country, same thing. I think when I go around, people are like, and I think I said it when we wrapped up the season, just that, like, I got the compliment of, we love watching your team play. And that's the biggest compliment you can get as a coach in terms of what we talk about in our gym. So I think we're in a good spot heading forward. And I'm excited about the volleyball we're playing. And the thing I've been saying for the last week is I'm excited to see it against somebody else to figure out, hey, are we on to something, or do we need to make some small changes as we go forward here in the spring?
Well, you mentioned the logo that Wisconsin has or whatever. A&M's logo's always meant something, but in volleyball, people now are looking at you all the way people were looking at Wisconsin.
Yeah, no, I think we have that level of respect, and I think as a program, you want to get to that point. But now it's, can we make that last? Like, if people say Texas A&M and the volleyball world, can they think of us the way that they think of Wisconsin? And I think we're edging into that. And now it's, can we be consistent in that? Can we do it year in and year out to the point, even if we have a down year, it's like, oh, they're going to be back next year.
Right.
And that's where we're at as a staff, of trying to push that forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just remind the audience when they can see you this week.
Yeah, tomorrow night, 7:30. Tickets are free. So pop in and, again, see the work that we've been putting in and where we're at. And then tomorrow is going to be inter-squad, so maroon white. We're playing each other, mixing up lineups quite a bit. And then Saturday, we put the uniform on against some different people. So 1 o'clock against TCU, 5 o'clock against SMU.
Before I let you go, busy summer for you?
Always. I got some USA stuff going on and some things along those lines. So, and then recruiting. And we're on the trail hard right now of trying to find the future Aggies.
We'll get you here soon, all right?
I'm happy to be back.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate you. We'll hit a break. We'll have a final segment on the other side. Right now, Ground Shuttle, they offer frequent and reliable shuttles from Bryan College Station to George W. Bush Intercontinental Airport. If you want to get there in style and in luxury, you need to make sure you reach out to the good folks at Ground Shuttle. They have shuttle times 9 shuttle times during the weekdays, every hour and a half, and 5 shuttle times on the weekends, every 2.5 hours. Great for business travelers, for commuters, for students that are just trying to get back home. Great way to do it with Easter holiday coming up, whatever holiday it may be, summertime. You can book any vehicle in their fleet to accommodate your group size for charter service as well. They're a local company, and they don't book anything unless they can guarantee it. So make sure you reach out to the good folks there at Ground Shuttle. The website is groundshuttle.com. That is groundshuttle.com. And we're back. Oh, we saw you. We saw you, Kaylee. The radio people didn't see you. Kaylee just ran, trying to go under the camera. We caught it. It was hilarious. It's TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. So, look, I haven't been paying attention. Today's been a busy show. We had Steve Denton here. We had the Aggie Dance Team out here. We had Amanda Scarborough. We had a lot of different topics on the program today. So I haven't paid attention as much to the YouTube chat. But people are firing each other. Have you been paying attention to that, Reed?
I don't really understand
Why
what's
are people
going
getting
on.
fired?
I don't know. I mean, well, there is somebody with the Texas logo in their profile picture, so that might have made some people mad.
Maybe that's what it was. Anyway, it's the final couple of minutes of the program. Mr. Neal, what do you have for us?
So I've got a little bit of SEC news, just some recent comments that Coach Kirby Smart had on the two quarterbacks competing for the position, which is Gunnar Stockton and Ryan Puglisi. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, I'm going to pretend like yeah.
So just some information on Stockton. He did play or had playing time 2 times this year against Notre Dame and Texas, in which he had 32. He completed 32 of 48 passes for 305 passing yards, 1 touchdown, and then 1 interception. And then Kirby says, both these guys are doing a great job. I'm really pleased with where both of them are at. Ryan's taking some reps with the ones, and Gunnar continues to grow and get better. I think both guys are doing a great job.
Awesome stuff. Anything else for us?
We've got a long comment just regarding potential upcoming coaching situations. Just kind of saying how traditionally Buzz only really stayed at a team for 5 to 6 years, and then some stuff on Slosh leaving TCU. Same thing about Jimbo, and so he just is kind of saying would like to not be hesitant on who we hire if Buzz was to move on, because we should have been prepared for it.
Well, like I said yesterday, it takes 2 to tango. I don't even know if Maryland's interested. Maybe we find out they are. Maybe we find out they aren't, and then it'll be really awkward. That's going to do it for TexAgs Live, here presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Appreciate everybody listening and chiming in. We'll see you mañana.